What's happening, man? How's everybody doing out there, man? How's everybody doing out there, man? In YouTube land here, man. How's everybody in YouTube land here? Huh?
Tonight, another incident at Reagan National Airport is under investigation. The wings of two American airline flights collided on the taxiway. 7 News shooting this video of crews later inspecting one of the damaged planes. Our Carl Willis takes a look at the growing concerns over aviation safety.
These new images show the damage after 2 planes clipped wings in the taxiway at Reagan National Airport Thursday. There are over 70 passengers on each plane, including 5 members of Congress.
And there's a winglet in the block, so we're stopping traffic over there.
No one was hurt, but travelers at DCA,
it just seems like there's been incident after incident after incident.
Stressed to hear about another incident after January's deadly collision.
I mean, I just put my son on a plane, but I just have a faith that everything will be okay.
I think it's the sheer number of planes that are in and out of these airports. It seems to be more and more.
And that passenger is not the only one questioning the sheer number of flights out of DCA and if that has any bearing on these incidents that are happening.
We had the tragedy less than 90 days ago. We've had a few other near misses. But this honestly is what happens when you cut the FAA, when you cut air traffic controllers, when you don't treat safety as a primary concern.
Virginia Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine have consistently sounded the alarm about safety at DCA, calling for a thorough investigation and a re-examination of the flights that have been added to the airport.
What comes next after this latest incident?
We need some accountability. We need, the most important thing would be, let's make sure we go ahead and not cut the FAA any further, put more people into the air traffic control system. We are 3,000 short at this point, and that's before, the Doge massacres.
At Reagan National Airport, Carl Willis, 7 News.
As you heard, these incidents have some questioning overall safety, and tonight, I want to hear from you. Scan the QR code that's on your screen.
We begin tonight with the breaking news, the tragedy here in New York City, a helicopter plunging into the Hudson River, killing all 6 people on board, the pilot and a family of 5 on a tour flight visiting from Spain, a mother and father and their 3 children. Again, no one survived this. The chilling scene in the waters of the Hudson. The crash happened in the part of the river between Lower Manhattan and Jersey City in New Jersey. Video showing the helicopter spinning and flipping upside down. You can see it's just the fuselage there. The bulk of the helicopter, the rotor blade, appears to come apart from the rest of the aircraft before the crash into the river. Witnesses could see the chopper breaking apart as it was going down, the rotor spinning as it falls, splashing into the water following the fuselage as it came down. My goodness. The helicopter then floating to the surface upside down, divers racing into the water to search for the pilot and passengers. And again, there were no survivors. Tonight, the investigation here, how could this happen? The rotor blade coming apart. How old was that helicopter? And we have now learned that the chopper was in the sky over Manhattan for about 15 minutes before it came crashing down. Here's our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky, leading us off tonight. He's on the scene.
Tonight, 6 people killed after a helicopter with a family of tourists on board broke apart and plummeted into the Hudson River off New York City. It happened just after 3:15 this afternoon.
Be advised, you do have an aircraft down Holland Tunnel. Please keep your eyes open for anybody in the water.
The tourist chopper going down on the Hudson between Lower Manhattan and Jersey City. This video showing the chopper splashing down, the rotor blades still spinning in the air before it lands in the water. Fire rescue boats and the Coast Guard racing to the spot where it went down. The chopper fuselage upside down. The rough, choppy water just 49 degrees. Law enforcement officials tell ABC News the helicopter was carrying a family, 2 adults and 3 children, tourists from Spain, in addition to 1 pilot.
I saw the helicopter. It was just coming down in that 45 angle, and it went straight into the water. It was a big splash.
Witnesses watching in horror.
It sounded like a sonic boom on my right. So I look up and literally I just see a helicopter splitting in two with the rotor flying off in the sky. It was going so fast and just went straight into the water, and like nothing came up afterwards. It must have just sunk.
And I heard a loud snap or like a kind of sound barrier breaking sound, and I could see a helicopter falling on its side and splashing the water right next to that red barge over there. And then the rotor on the top fell off as well and then hit the water.
If your rotor system disintegrates, goes away, stops, blows up, or loses a blade, your whole ability to fly is 100% compromised at that point, and you're simply going to go down. It's very seldom that we have a helicopter crash that resulted from a disintegration of the lift system. That's what this begins to sound like, and it's very rare.
FAA records show the helicopter is 21 years old. Flight radar 24 showing the chopper was in the air over Manhattan for about 15 minutes before it broke apart. It was the helicopter's 6th flight of the day.
So let's bring in Aaron Katersky. He's on the scene for us tonight. And Aaron, you reported on the family of 5 on board. These were tourists visiting the U.S. on a flight over the city. The pilot. Do authorities think they had any chance here as rescuers dove into the water late today trying to save them?
And those divers told us, David, they did everything they could. But eyewitnesses said the helicopter came down very fast. The Hudson River is frigid. Rescue boats sped toward the wreckage site, but by the time they got there, they saw the helicopter had come down upside down, David.
Just a horrible toll there today. And you also reported that tour helicopter was actually flying over Manhattan, over New York City for about 15 minutes before this crash. Obviously, the crash in itself is awful, but authorities also know this could have happened right over the city.
Yeah, David, these helicopter tourist flights are quite common. This particular Bell 206 was on its 6th run of the day. A similar tourist helicopter actually crashed into the Hudson River in 2018. And ever since, there's been a debate about how many of these flights there are over such a busy corridor in the city, David.
Our chief investigator.
So let me find out. That's Trump's fault, right? That's Trump's fault. Let's see. Let's see what's going on, man, out here in these streets.
Disturbing new video and details in a deadly mass shooting in Spotsylvania County. Teens brazenly seen carrying long guns through the community.
So what we know at this hour, 4 teens facing charges tonight. 3 people dead, 3 others recovering at this hour. Fox 5's Bob Barner with the latest from Fredericksburg.
This is where this all happened. Old Greenwich Circle in Fredericksburg, Tuesday around 5:30 in the afternoon. Detectives are back here right now. We have several pieces of video we can share with you that captured parts of the shooting, including this Ring camera video that captured the sound of gunfire. Take a listen. There were multiple gunshots in several bursts of gunfire captured on this camera, and 2 of the suspects afterward. Earlier, a neighbor recorded this video of 2 gunmen walking down the street armed with long guns. Another person captured this image of what appear to be 2 AR-15s propped up on a fence in the neighborhood. Evidence of the violence is everywhere you look, the result of what Spotsylvania County Sheriff's investigators say was an illegal gun sale gone bad, including car windows blown out. 3 people were killed, 3 more wounded, 4 people facing charges in this mass shooting. The emotional wounds, hard to calculate.
My kitchen window was shot up. Blood is on my front. I've been up all night, afraid to stay in the home because I'm thinking if I was home in my kitchen, I could have been killed.
This is a mugshot of one of those arrested. He is 18-year-old Jeremiah Upson, along with 2 16-year-olds and a 7.
So here's my thing, man. We already know, like, Karmelo Anthony the violence that was done that day, right? Since then, there have been countless incidents, okay? Just like it would be during any week, 7-day span. In any 7-day or 10-day span, I don't know how many days it's been since the fateful day at in Frisco. But in that week and a half, there's been the same amount of incidents there usually is of black violence, you know, whether it be teens, whether it be 15 to 35, whether it be over 35, whatever it be, whoever it be, there's been countless incidents of those, right? This is one thing where I got to give black people credit, man. We have not stopped killing. We have not stopped stabbing. We have not stopped mass shooting. We have not stopped any of that stuff. But yet we still are claiming the victim, and successfully, though. That needs to be studied, man. That needs to be studied. Because you would think like, all right, we trying to help Karmelo out. Everybody chill for a minute, man. Hey, chill for a second, y'all. Stop killing. Cut the killing back, man. We try and run this game on these white folk, man, and we victims and shit. We try and run this game on these white folk that we victims, y'all. Nah, niggas just keep killing, keep shooting, keep stabbing at the same rate, and still running the game. That shit crazy. That shit crazy. I'm talking about it is crazy. We ain't stopped nothing.
17-year-old. They're being charged with malicious wounding and using a firearm in the commission of a felony. The dead are being identified as 18-year-old Chase Feaster and 18-year-old Alonzo Goffney and a 20-year-old who has not been identified. One of the 16-year-olds being charged in the shooting.
This is weird. 3 days out and they haven't identified the victims of a mass shooting. 3 days out, no victims of the mass shooting. Three days out. These boys must be white, man. Press 1. These boys who got killed must be white. Some of these boys who got killed must be white, man. Okay, here go one. One of them is black. Let me see which one is black. Alonzo Goffney is black. I want to see Chase Feaster, man. Chase Feaster, man. That sounds like a white name, man. Why they know? Why? Where's Chase Feaster, man? Well, we ain't getting no Chase Feaster. No luck on Chase Feaster. Salute to my man S Freak, man. Louis Barrow says, why you can't ask some men to leave or not come in? Why is it that's so bad? Some men, I've been telling y'all that for a long time. You don't ask a son man to leave nowhere. It's kind of like we just some bad motherfuckers, man. And you asking us to leave is like you a certain power over us. You a certain power over us. Like, hey, bro, you gotta leave, man. Like, what? Fuck you talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta leave. Like, it's like you a certain power over us, man. Even if you're in charge, though. The wickedest part is that it's not it. Listen, everybody talks about how Austin Metcalf, you know, he should have went and got an adult, or it's not his business to tell him to leave. Yo, if the proper person would have came and told Karmelo Anthony to leave, he'd have got mad. Press 1. And we see this all the time. If the person in charge, the person with the credentials to make that decision came over and said, hey, yo, young brother, man, you got to leave, that nigga still would have got mad. And that's the thing where people, I think that's the question you asking right there. Because, I mean, just a regular person asking the son man to leave, I think you already know, why sons going to react with violence. They don't want to be told nothing. Son don't want to be told nothing by nobody. We some bad motherfuckers. But why even the librarian can't tell us to leave the library? The lifeguard can't tell us to get out the pool. The security guard can't tell us to get out the mall. The bus driver can't tell us to get off the bus. That shit is deep, man. That shit need to be studied too. But all I will say is this, man. All I will say is this, is don't ask no son man to leave nowhere. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth your life.
In the shooting is still in the hospital. The other 3, including Upson, are in jail, being held without bond.
2 minutes, over 100 bullets fired, 3 people dead. Shoot, that's crazy. Life happens too fast.
Other people who live in this neighborhood spend part of the day cleaning blood and body parts off the front of their homes. Spotsylvania County Sheriff's officials would not go on camera today, but tell us charges against the 4 could be upgraded.
Tonight, ICE has arrested a Guatemalan national in Northern Virginia who was convicted of a sex crime against a child.
Fox 5's Shamari Stone has this.
Damn, man, why y'all hombredos always doing that shit, man? Yo, something wrong with hombredos, man. Nobody wants to talk about that, man. Is that taboo too? Can we not talk about that? Why hombredos always doing some nasty shit with some kids, man? I noticed that a long time ago. I'm like, damn, they get busy with them children, man. Hombredos get busy with little kids, man. Is it just me? I know it might be taboo, but have any of y'all noticed that? Like, they worse than white teachers, man. Hombredos are worse than white female teachers, man. When it comes to kids, man. They get busy.
As the story from Falls Church.
Tonight, some people who live in Northern Virginia tell me that they are pleased that ICE removed a convicted sex offender off the streets. Dramatic video showing U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arresting convicted sex offender 21-year-old Ander Cortez Mendez in Falls Church, Virginia on April 2nd.
Look at this Aztec, man. That's a straight up Aztec.
U.S. border agents arrested Cortez Mendez after they say he illegally entered the U.S. near the Rio Grande Valley in Texas in 2018. ICE saying he was supposed to appear before an immigration judge but didn't show up to court. According to ICE, he was arrested in Fairfax County for an alleged sex crime last year in March. Agents issued a detainer against Cortez Mendez with the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center. And then on May 20th of last year, a Fairfax County judge gave him a 3-month suspended sentence after he was found guilty of having sex with the child. Despite being found guilty, ICE says Fairfax County...
Hold on, he got a 3-month suspended sentence after having sex with a child? What the fuck? Listen, I'm from DC, right? Fairfax always done struck fear in Negroes' hearts, man. Don't go out Fairfax, don't go out VA, man. VA, they don't play, man. That's the Commonwealth, man. I don't know about this generation, but my generation, they used to be scared. to do crime out in VA, man. VA gonna smoke your boots. I guess if you're a legal immigrant, you get special treatment.
Didn't show up to court. According to ICE, he was arrested in Fairfax County for an alleged sex crime last year in March. Agents issued a detainer against Cortez Mendez with the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center. And then on May 20th of last year, a Fairfax County judge gave him a 3-month suspended sentence after he was found guilty of having sex with the child. Despite being found guilty, ICE says Fairfax County officials did not honor ICE's detainer and released Cortez Mendez back into the community in Northern Virginia.
Jeez. Dang. Yo, can you sue? You should be able, parents in that neighborhood should be able to sue the local government, man. You got this motherfucker. Look at him. He just looked like he would do it tomorrow. If they let him go, he would go fuck with a child tomorrow, man.
Virginia. And then last Wednesday, that is when the ICE agents arrested him on the street. Tonight, ICE releasing a statement that says, in part, Ander Cortez Mendez is a convicted sex offender and exactly the type of illegal alien that ICE officers seek to remove from Washington, D.C. and Virginia. We refuse to allow such offenders to continue to threaten the residents of our neighborhoods. We reached out to Fairfax County officials to find out why the ICE detainer against Ander Cortez Mendez was not honored. We are waiting to hear back from them.
Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck? Oh yeah, let me show y'all this, man. Everybody hit that like button, man. Shout out to Jay, man. He says header not true, fake news. The header not true, fake news. What do you mean? My title? The header? I don't understand what you mean, the header. You gotta break that down for me right quick, homie. I love it though, man. This right here, man. Oh, see.
Percent of the population.
Yes,
about half of all. To 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders. They commit more.
I just want you to see these white women faces, man. These dumbass white women faces, man. Charlie Kirk, when he said this shit. When Charlie Kirk says this shit is
14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders. They commit more arsons. They commit more kidnappings.
Yo, the fake outrage over such a comment that everyone knows is true.
13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murder.
Yo, everyone, listen. Black people know that's true. We brag about the violence. I'm from the murder capital. Nah, my city the murder capital. Nah, your city was the murder capital back in the 90s. We the murder capital now. Niggas love being from a violent area, a violent neighborhood. That's got pride, man. Niggas take pride in that. These white women acting like they don't know that what he's saying is true. Look at Look at her. Look at her.
More murders. They commit more arsons.
Jesus Christ. Like, yo, y'all making it worse by making all these faces. Everyone, like, yo, come on, man. Everyone knows that that's true. I bet you every action these women have made, every decision they make in their life is colored by the fact that that's true. Press 1.
Arsons. They commit more kidnappings. For example.
But like, this ain't even like, this is a softball, and they acting like this. They acting like this over that, man. This is more of them being racist. This makes them look more racist because everyone knows that they know that that's true. Everyone knows that, man. This isn't controversial at all. And y'all doing all these histrionics, man. Shout out to S Freak, man. He said Hombritos are just as bad as the Suns with the whole entitlement and victim mentality, even though they came here on their own free will. Facts. Shout out. These women, man.
For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay, let's talk about it. These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond to them as if Charlie Kirk were a
These are racist claims. These are racist claims. Nigga, no matter how eloquently you talk, no matter how much diction you use, nigga, you can't out fucking philosophize that shit, man. This nigga, he gonna good black man us to he gonna look at me. I speak well. These can't be true. I'm black. I'm black, and look how well I use the English language. Watch how many big words I use. If I use these big words and speak this well, then those crime stats can't possibly be true because I am representing my race, as you see. Nigga, this is a magic trick you doing, nigga. It don't matter, nigga. I don't even want to hear this nigga, man. He sound like he gonna just annoy me, man.
a reasonable person.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
About half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the U.S. government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need.
He said 38 of America's prison population. Is he talking about federal? Or is he talking about state and county? Because they do shit like that. They'll say, well, actually it's not. And it'll just be like the federal prison penitentiary.
The need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates? If Charlie were actually looking for the race
that's one thing that you don't need to exaggerate black crime. Everybody feel it, man. Everybody feels it, yo. You don't need to exaggerate black crime, man. Like, you could undersell it like you doing, and it's still there. It's still there, man. We brag about it in our songs and our music. Go to any black community and listen to the radio. It's nothing but niggas bragging about it to the beat. Niggas bragging about how violent we are and how crime-ridden our communities are to a beat. No other culture does that, man. Like even our soft songs, man. Even our motherfucking like our pop songs brag about crime and affiliations, gang affiliations, and all that shit.
Race that makes up half the prison population in the U.S., he'd look no further than white.
Let's just take his stat, right? 88,000 white people are in jail out of roughly 200 million. But 60,000 blacks are in jail out of 40 million. And that's with all the laws trying to keep niggas out of jail. There's no laws trying to keep whites out of jail. No president ever said there's too many white people in jail. The next white guy you see with a hoodie could be our next poet laureate. Nobody ever said that. There's no laws and there's no concerted effort to keep white people out of jail. There's all types of shit, diversionary programs. Trust me, I done had them, man. Diversionary programs, all this, that, and the third, trying to keep niggas out of jail. No paper, case dismissed. Witness intimidation. There's a lot of shit they try to keep niggas out of jail. I'm not sure about his numbers, but let's just say they're true. Still not a good look, but let's see what he's gonna say, man, because he's a very intelligent brother, Mace.
White people at 57%.
Exactly. So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word "so" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
Exactly. So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying "so" as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is...
Listen, let me tell you something, man. If there's a shooting in your neighborhood, let's just not even say in your neighborhood. Shout out to Big Larry in the building. Let's say you go somewhere and you stay at an Airbnb. Let's say you go somewhere and you go to a wedding and you stay with some family. Wherever you are, if there's a shooting, if you hear gunshots, what in your mind, you hear gunshots, what image does your mind conjure up when you hear gunshots? Are you like, oh man, that's Austin Metcalf, man, and that's Austin and Hunter Metcalf out there bullying black people, man? Or do you like, damn, them niggas again? Because I don't know nobody who hear gunshots and think that that's some white people doing it. Everybody who hear gunshots automatically assume it's niggas. Everybody who hears there was a report. Yeah, somebody got shot around the corner last night. A report of a shooting. Everybody thinks that it's niggas. Nobody thinks that it's white people that did that shit. Everybody just assumes that it's niggas, and they be right almost every time.
Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word "so" to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
Exactly. So blacks...
Instead, he's making an illogical, racist leap. Charlie knows that we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. It's impossible to have.
Yeah, we do. He said we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. Called victim surveys, man. That's the victim. Hey, who shot you, man? Hey, dude, who shot you? Hey, dude, who shot this dead guy? You were standing right there. Who shot him?
impossible to have that data since so many crimes go both unreported and or unsolved. Charlie knows that we only have data about arrests and convictions. I'll come back to that data in a moment. What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments, something that becomes even more obvious.
Nigga, you making the worst faith argument in the history of the world. All those unsolved murders is in the black community. Yeah, they in the black community, man. All those mysteries and shit. If they did forensic files for the black community, man, yo, listen, this is a bad faith argument by this guy, man. And I don't believe that he doesn't know. I don't believe this guy is that square that he doesn't know that all of those in your city, all of those unsolved homicides are in the black community. And the people that are killed a lot of times are people affiliated in the street life. And many times when they're not, they're innocent bystanders. And no one comes forward with any information. You can shoot an old lady in the head, broad daylight. No one will come forward and say, hey, man, I saw something, man. Hey, man, I heard about that old lady the other day, man. That shit really tore me up, man. I heard some guys at the dice game talking about it, man. It was goddamn Reggie. Reggie did that shit, man. Nah, man, niggas ain't gonna fucking. It's niggas that don't cooperate with police, that are famous for not cooperating with police. That's their calling card, their mantra, man. Stop snitching, no snitching. You don't hear nobody else talking about no snitching. Last time you heard some white boys talk about no snitching, and they wasn't trying to be down with niggas. They wasn't trying to siphon off a nigga culture. When last time you heard some white boys or some Asians say no snitching, man? Stop snitching. You hear square black people, cornball black people running around talking about no snitching. Straight squares. Shout out to Big Larry, man. Big Larry in the building, man. Louis Barrow says, are sisters really loyal to Sunmen, or do they not get approached often by gliders and tigers and sayings? Both. But I will say this. Sisters are very loyal to Sunmen. They remarked on that in many of the memoirs, man, that I read about ancient, not ancient Africa, medieval Africa. That sisters prefer Sunmen, man. Yeah, so it's not just modern times. Sister, the explorers and the traders and the white people who ventured into black lands back in Africa and shit back in the day. They noticed that sisters were preferred Sunmen, man. They're very loyal to Sunmen. Sisters are very loyal. Now, does that mean, I don't know if that means anything, like if they're loyal for a reason or loyal to a fault, but they are very loyal to, they prefer Sunmen. That's their preference. It could be a preference. It could, you could say that, black men are loyal to white women because they prefer white women. No, it could just be that that's their preference rather than being loyal. It could be that sisters just prefer the energy of a black man. But let me not digress, man.
Obvious in his next point.
Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact,
make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. Yeah, because when you appeal a case fucking X amount of times over 20 years, witnesses stop coming to court, man. Witnesses die. Witnesses can be intimidated. Witness intimidation is very big in the black community, man. So you got these exhausting, these countless appeals. You got all these woke DAs, man. These departments have been created within the DA's office to find cases, to scour through all the old cases and find any one of them that is even a little bit shaky. A judge was found to have used the N-word, or we looked at this judge's high school yearbook and he dressed up as fucking goddamn Ben Vereen for goddamn Halloween and put on blackface. So we need to throw out all his cases. This detective was a dirty cop, and we're gonna throw out all his cases. We do this a lot on this channel too. We look at a lot of those exonerated cases, man. People exonerated, they were usually implicated by a black person, their buddy or some prostitute or somebody in the street said they did it. They went to jail. That person, they did like 20 years in jail. That person died, or that person came back and recanted their original statement, or they'll come back and say, they'll even do this. They'll say, hey, man, you didn't interview everybody in the area. Like there was a shop owner across the street who y'all didn't interview at the time of the crime. Yeah, he was there in the shop at the time of the crime, and across the street, and y'all didn't interview him. So we need to throw the case out. And everything is considered racially driven. They would consider that. They wouldn't consider the fact that, the nigga just did the shit. Like the nigga shot the guy, and all the witnesses said he shot the guy. He had the gun under his bed when the police arrested him. They'll come back 20 years later and say, yeah, but you didn't interview the shop owner across the street, and he was there. And because you didn't interview him, you didn't do a complete investigation. And you didn't do that because he's black, and you didn't want to give him his civil rights. And we're asking for this case to be exonerated. And they exonerated and shit. Most of the cases that have been exonerated that we done on this channel, the nigga was implicated by other niggas, and the nigga, in my final estimation, is that the nigga did it from just common sense and looking at the evidence. The nigga still did that shit. They just let him off because he did like 30 years.
In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations. Specifically, black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose, because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you wants.
Yo, I'd hate to see that comment section, man. I would hate to see this comment section, man. Yikes. Jeez. Yikes. As I assumed, everyone's on that. Everyone agrees.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders. They commit more arsons. They commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population, and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay, let's talk.
Jeez. Everybody hit the like button, man. Hit the like button. We're going to get into Tim Pool a little later, man. We're going to get in Tim Pool's ass a little later, man. Just be patient, man. We're going to have a good time getting in Tim Pool's ass a little later, man. Hit the like button, man. Yeah, man. Hit the like button, man. You know what? I'm actually gonna show y'all this one, man. And listen, man. I agree that certain crime like child porn, like almost 98% of the cases I've seen for child porn since I've been on YouTube doing this, because I rarely cover child porn because this is not that type of channel, but like 98% of the cases they've been white dudes watching that stuff, peddling that stuff. So there are certain crimes that certain races do. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to messing with little children, it's a lot of white women teachers and a lot of hombredos. When it comes to firing a gun in a public space, like the street, the club, goddamn Six Flags, parking lot of the mall, a school, that's almost always a nigga. Almost always.
Hair Haven in Jackson, Mississippi, overnight. The suspects, wearing masks and hoodies, shattered the front window before rushing inside. They grabbed wigs, hair products, and other high-value items,
They brought the whole fucking neighborhood,
clearing shelves in just minutes before fleeing the scene. The store's owner, Kelly Thompson, has been battling stage 3 breast cancer while trying to keep her business running. She has dedicated her store to helping cancer patients by providing wigs and beauty products to those in need. Now, on top of her health struggles, she faces a devastating financial loss. Police are urging the public to come forward with any information about the suspects. If you recognize anyone in the footage, contact local authorities. A GoFundMe has also been set up to help Kelly recover and keep her store open. Surveillance footage shows a group of thieves breaking into...
Look at the sister. The sister, the one that broke the door down. God damn. The female of the species broke the door down, man. God damn, man. That's a unique thing to black folk, man. The bitch knocked the door down. Shit. Yeah, no. She can't hear that Joe knock the door down. God damn. God damn. Jeez. Jeez. All right, man. Let's go ahead and get the let's get the Tim Pool, man. Make sure y'all support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat, man.
one where he says, what is it? Nothing matters but this. He was at a school event at the wrong team's tent with a knife. He clearly chose murder than to walk away, cut and dry here. Nope, wrong. Imagine you are invited to a party at someone else's house and you are legally carrying a firearm. And then a fight breaks out and or like an altercation breaks out between you and some guy and, there's drinking involved or whatever. I'm not trying to make a 1-for-1 scenario. I'm trying to create a potential scenario separate from this one with similarities. You go to a party. Let's say you go to a party. And some guy starts saying stuff like, yo, man, get out of here. And you're like, I can do what I want. I was invited to the party. Verbal altercation escalates. And then the dude, you're standing there and you pull your sweater back and you've got a gun. And you put your hand up and say, don't come close to me, bro. I'm warning you right now. Do not come close. Do not take another step. Then the guy grabs your arm and makes a move. So you draw your weapon and you use it. Okay. Make the argument. You have no right to defend yourself when you're being attacked by a guy. Make the argument. By all means, go ahead and do so. I ain't going to do it. I don't know the circumstances. You can argue that you're in a place you're not supposed to be. You can argue it's that guy's house, and it doesn't matter. A guy can invite you into your neighbor could be like, come on over, brother. And then if he gets physical with you, you can defend yourself. And then what? The police are going to be like, well, you were in his house. And it's like, yeah, you invited me in. It's like, the door was open and.
See, the reason let me just be honest, man. Reason I don't like this is for selfish reasons, man. I want to be perfectly transparent with y'all, man. This is hood nigga culture, right? Nigga thinking, right? That type of thinking is hood nigga thinking, right? And I don't want whites adopting that, man, because where we gonna go? Where we gonna move to when we get money? Where the good blacks gonna move to when we get money? If y'all start adopting the hood nigga ways of thinking, man, in the white community, man, it ain't gonna be nowhere for us to move to when we get money for the good blacks, man. And y'all think just adopted a little bit of nigga culture ain't gonna harm you? We can just take a little bit of. We can just side with the Negroes on this one. It's not gonna hurt. You gotta understand, man. Like the law is stated that way for a certain reason. The law of self-defense. It forces you to find other ways to solve problems. That self-defense law forces you, if you're a law-abiding citizen, which you have a lot of gangbangers, a lot of street dudes, self-proclaimed street dudes, a lot of real niggas in the hood, in the black community. So they're not necessarily law-abiding citizens, but let's just go by law-abiding citizens, right? That self-defense law, even the stand your ground law, it forces you to try to find other ways to solve the problem or negotiate the dispute, man. Without using violence, man. It makes you choose violence as a last resort. What Tim is saying is, hey, man, let's be like the niggas, man. And if I feel like disrespected, man, I get to kill your ass. And I don't believe Tim wants to live in an area like that, regardless of race. Now you can take race out of it. Even though race does exacerbate certain things when it comes to this. But let's just take race out of it, right? That nigga mentality, we're going to use nigga mentality for lack of a better word, because that's what, that's what we're famous for, doing that. Whacking your ass over some stupid shit. Like, finitoing your shit. We famous for coming back and spraying the whole fucking corner, spraying the whole fucking club over some stupid shit, let alone just your ass. But if you take any group of people, right, and they live by what Tim Pool is saying, the homicide rate is going to go through the roof. Any group of people. Now, with blacks, of course, because of our nature and our more, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know, we ain't getting all that, but would it soar higher? Yes. But any group of people who adopt the philosophy that Tim just laid out right there, your homicide rate is going through the roof. And thus your trust, if you're in a high trust society, the trust is gonna lower in that society. What Tim is talking about is in an area he didn't grow up in an area he wouldn't want his kids to be raised in. But he's taking this stance for I don't know why. Let me drop the link, man, so I can figure out, maybe some people can tell me why Tim is taking this stance when we know he wouldn't want to live in this area. He didn't grow up in an area where those are the rules. He wouldn't want his kids to live in that area where those are the rules. Why is he taking this stance when we know? Like, we don't have to guess. I can look at Tim and I can tell he wouldn't want to live in DC anytime. He wouldn't want to live in Southeast, Uptown, Northeast. Wouldn't want to live in PG County. He wouldn't want to live anywhere where there's niggas that live by this philosophy. We know that. But he's on his platform saying that he agrees with it, even though it violates the law. What he's saying makes me think of the stuff he talks about, all the guns he has. He doesn't sound like a concealed carrier. Most concealed carriers I know, they dread having to fire their firearm. They dread it because you're actually held to a higher standard than a criminal. If you're a CC, a permit holder, the last thing you want to do is fire your gun. Your gun is just to save your life. Because if you have to shoot somebody, you're going to be in court and you're going to pay a shit ton of money, and your life is going to be in limbo for about 2-3 years. Your finances and your life while you're fighting it, because you're held to a real standard. But he talks about guns all the time. It doesn't seem like he understands. He doesn't sound like a concealed carrier. He sounds like a nigga on the corner. Go ahead, Ash Freak. What's happening, man?
What's up, Ak? You want to know what I think? I really don't know what to think. I mean, I used to listen to Tim Pool a lot, and he used to be really conservative, pro-Trump, saying get out of the cities, get out of the cities. But I don't know. A lot of times he contradicts himself. Like, I think he's just trying to pander to the pro-blacks for some reason. But it just baffles me. I don't know why. Can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the comments say, like, he's been compromised by Juice Crew, and that could be it. But I know he used to be like a real liberal. He used to be a reporter for Vice and all that. So I don't know if it's his former liberal leanings coming back into play now, or something like that. But
this is kind of like a take. You ever see how when the National Geographic report photographers or whatever, they'll see like a motherfucking like a jaguar eating like 8 baby monkeys and shit, like the monkey mother done left the tree and the babies. The jaguar came and ate it, ate baby monkeys, and they sit there and they're like, "Hey, you just gotta let nature happen," you know. But if you fucking if you fucking run over their dog or they be crushed and shit. But why not let nature happen then? But it's like it's kind of like he's treating blacks like animals by saying, "Hey, this is kind of just how they are. Let's see it from their point of view." And if he's doing that, I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You know, if he's saying, "Hey, let's look at it look at it if you were a black person. If you were a black person and you had this, you know, this low impulse control and you struggle with gratification, deferment, and orientation to the future, and just about everything else that comes with having a prefrontal cortex, you would probably do it this way too." And if he's saying that, and this is his way of saying that without getting on all those racial deep tropes and shit, then yeah, man, I can dig that, man. But he just didn't fully explain it like that. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That's his way. If he were to do it that way, he would be basically.
You sound like you're far away, man.
He will be speaking.
You sound like you're very far away, bro. Your mic you literally just like sound like you're like in the other room.
Yeah, if he would be saying it like that, then I can understand that, you know, he's just trying to, like, you know, expose the black community while looking like he's pandering to them. Because truth be told, and that's what I'm saying, like a lot of people say that white liberals are the most racist people in the world for that very reason. But I don't know, man. Like Tim Pool, he's always been one of those wishy-washy type of people. So
yeah, and listen, I don't want to come down to. Well, I want to be fair to him, but he, in his thing, he blasted conservatives. He said, what did he say about? He said, I'm not getting. Hold on, man. Let me find that header. He said. He said, I don't care about conservative tribal outrage. Yeah, I don't care about conservative tribal outrage.
That's a liberal tactic, misrepresentation.
Yeah. Conservative tribal outrage. I think that, you know, like, you got to be very careful because, like, these things are slippery slopes. I get it. Like, you want to, it's kind of like how the left has, like, endorsed Islam, right? They love Islam now, right? The little kids in the college campus are converting to Islam and shit, and the white women are all down with Islam. Every Islam country that gets in a conflict, that's the side they're on. Well, hey, what's gonna happen when they bring FGM and Sharia law to your country?
Somebody in the comments section, her name is Amanda Harrington. She wrote that he's just a cuck when it comes to race. And, you know, now that she wrote that, I remember one time when it comes to racial issues, he is kind of afraid to tread the waters a little bit. I remember one time Cenk Uygur, that fucking Islamist fat Turkish piece of shit.
Right.
You know who I'm talking about. He was talking about, he was grilling him on it. And like Tim was just like, you know, he was just folding under pressure. So I think when it comes to race, Tim is just doesn't have the cojones to talk about it. What do you think?
Yeah,
Dave?
I think like with Whitlock yesterday, you described it as stepping on that line and looking over. I think people just have a reaction to the potential DNA issue, you know, and they can't handle it. They just fries their brain.
It's just with whites, like, you know, they've been like browbeaten over and over again. You're not allowed to see race. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to speak in favor of your race. you're not allowed to acknowledge certain racial disparity. Whereas blacks, they could say whatever the fuck they want. And Britos, they could say whatever the fuck they want, so on and so forth. And like, it's just, it takes a lot to fucking fight that internal programming, especially a former liberal like Tim Pool.
Mm.
What do you think, KB?
I just keep reading the line where it says Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest. Like, if you read that and you're like, oh yeah, that's reasonable. Like, you could get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Go ahead, Mark. What's your thoughts, man?
Nah, same thing that everybody's talking about. Whitlock. It's not that he don't want to. He does criticize us. He can't subscribe the DNA issue. So Tim Pool just don't want to. He don't want to deal with it, and that's his thing.
Yeah. Tim Pool, though, see, here's the difference, though. Like, I mean, I think Whitlock goes in on blacks.
No, he does. He does. He just don't subscribe to the DNA.
Yeah, but he goes in like where it's like you already know he understands that somehow blacks are different. He claims a culture. This guy right here, though, is not from that culture, right? So it's like we all know that Tim would not want to live in an area where people, the majority of the males, dealt with issues like that. Because in black culture, it goes down like this very, very common. Listen, a lot of mass shootings happen because of this. Like this same situation will happen, and instead of pulling out a knife and stabbing the dude in the chest, the dude would have left and came back and shot the whole fucking tent up. And I mean, like, that happens all the time in these type situations. It's just kind of like disgusting when you got somebody who wouldn't want to live around that, would shudder to live around that, has never lived around that, has never gone to a school where a portion of the kids at the school think like this. You know what I'm saying? Has never, been on a basketball team where some of the guys on the basketball team think like this, or you know what I'm saying, going to a club where there's people drunk and high who came into the club with this type of mentality. If somebody say something to me, I'm gonna shoot them, or somebody look at me funny, I'm gonna shoot them, or somebody that play with me, I'm gonna shoot them, and he's saying that, oh, it's all right, you know what I mean? Like, let's look at it both ways. I feel like you got to denounce this shit at every turn, man. If you're a responsible person, you know what I mean? As if you're if you're a serious adult, you have to denounce that type of thinking.
It makes sense because, like, you use ball as an example. Look at KB. KB has played ball with Suns, so he kind of has more of understanding than Tim Pool would.
Yeah.
Well, I think people are saying he's from Southside Chicago. That's where he was born, I guess. I don't know. I was just reading the comments.
You're born there, but
Chicago,
you're not
yeah.
from there. You're not, just because you're born there, that doesn't mean he's from there.
I think he lived in D.C. for a little while too. I think. Don't quote me on that.
He ain't from Chicago, Englewood, so that's a fact.
Yeah, but you could be from these cities. We talk about it all the time. DC is a great city. You can be in parts of DC where you would never know anything about what Mayor Barry or anything. You wouldn't even know the mayor was black because it's the other side of the city. It's the tax base side. And then you get on the urban side, and it's like, you know what I'm saying, you can feel the energy as soon as you step off the bus. You know what I'm saying? So these are major metropolises, man, where you have a white side, you have a black side, you have a side where there's crime, you have a side where there's less crime. That doesn't mean anything just because you're from a city. You know what I mean? There's all types of neighborhoods. Most of these cities have you live in the neighborhood more than you live in the city. But yeah, I mean, if he was hanging on the corner with the homeboys, or he went to the rec center and shit after school and shit, you know what I'm saying? or he was right into the cookout, as they say, then yeah, I mean, but if he just like from Chicago, like what the fuck? Chicago is a big, huge city. Salute to Steve S. Man, he said off topic. I heard Melungeon referenced in a podcast. Oh man, in a podcast. He said I heard Melungeon referenced in a podcast the other day. I had no idea it was a real word. I thought the panel made it up. They claim the word goes back. Yeah, definitely. We Melungeon is a group of people that live in Appalachia. They're racially ambiguous. They mix with Native American, black and white, and all types of shit. Yeah, Melungeon is a real culture, man. Shout out to you, Steve. Man, salute to Mark Ishmael, man. Salute to Pamela Henderson, man. Make sure y'all support the channel, man. You don't get this nowhere else, man. Nowhere else, man. Nowhere else. Yeah, but like, I just caution white people, man. If you wanna keep your culture, man, don't degrade or chip away at the foundations of your culture by adopting things, from blacks or Muslims or things like that, because those cultures destroy. Those cultures are low trust cultures. Those cultures will make it to where you gotta lock your car doors at night, and you gotta lock your front door. If you go for a walk, if you take the dog for a walk, listen, black people lock their shit up. If they take the dog for a walk, they lock in their front door. Black people take their trash to the corner on trash day, they lock their door. White people are not like that when they live in homogeneous white communities, man. There's a level of trust in your neighbor and your fellow man, and things like this. What Tim's saying, if they become commonplace in your community, they will erode that trust, man. You can't trust your fellow man to not kill you over a slight disagreement, and that erodes the fabric of your community, man, very fast, man. Even though I know they think he probably thinks, solidarity with the black folk, man. Yeah, man. Man, they still gonna call you racist too the first time you say something they don't like. Let's go to Chicago. We're gonna go to Chicago anyway, man. And see what's going on since Tim from Chicago, man. Hit the like button, man. Share this video, man. Let's go to Chicago.
The world is a vampire.
Here at Madame Zuzu's Tea Emporium in Highland Park with the proprietor, Billy Corgan, who also happens to be the leader of the iconic band Smashing Pumpkins, celebrating the 30th anniversary of their critically acclaimed and hit album Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Yeah.
You have so many different projects going. First of all, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Where was the germ of this idea to take Melancholy and put it on stage?
Okay, so this is happening in Chicago right here this weekend. I mean,
there might be like one black guy there.
Corey Ice. That's Ice Town.
We're here in the West Fulton Market neighborhood, known to be home to some of the best restaurants in the city, but it's also the site of a local interesting artisanal ice company that's helping to elevate cocktails at restaurants and bars. Today, I'm taking you behind the scenes of Quarry Ice. Here we are inside Quarry Ice, and I want you to meet the couple that started it all. I'm standing here with Audrey and Neil Sullivan, the co-founders, the owners, some of the most beautiful ice you will ever see. Tell me how this all came about.
It all started on Lake Michigan. It was an 80-degree day in Chicago. We were out on a boat.
Right.
We were with friends. Everything was perfect. I was drinking my margarita, and within minutes, my margarita was warm. The ice melted.
These people are from Chicago too. Just for whoever in the chat was like, I'm from Chicago. Like these people from Chicago too. And
we
is this not the whitest thing you've ever seen? Press 1.
looked in the cooler, and the bags of ice were melted.
I've seen whiter.
And I was like, there has to be a better way.
You've seen whiter than this?
I'm fucking around.
We're in the middle of the lake, and there's
This is
no
the whitest thing I've ever seen.
ice. We went on the search for the perfect ice cube.
And that's how Quarry Ice was born. And this is one thing I love, and we're going to tell you about how this is all made. But take a look at this. You can buy this ice at the grocery store now. This is what it looks like when you go to the grocery store. But before we get to that, we're going to walk you through the process on how Quarry Ice is made. Let's go, guys.
We are a Japanese-inspired brand. The name Quarry, which is an allusion to mining for gems and diamonds for your drink, it actually is how you pronounce ice in Japanese.
We use the same purification process as bottled water, reverse osmosis purification. A lot of people think that purification leads to clarity and slow melt of the ice.
I would think so.
It's not. It's directionally freezing the water. So the water moves as it freezes and takes all the air bubbles out, which makes a really dense block of ice and allows it to melt really, really slowly. The next step is harvesting and then cutting. It takes 3 days to freeze a block of ice. And then we precision cut our ice with samurai steel.
This is what I'm most excited about. Let's go.
Sylvia, these spears are milled with the same steel used to forge samurai swords. Very sharp, very precise. The other nice thing about these spears is they represent the lowest melt rate of any of the geometric shapes.
But look how crystal clear that is.
Beautiful.
I feel like it's a crystal ball. I can tell my future. What do you see in your future?
Magic and a lot of fun.
A lot of success.
A lot of success.
This is where the cubes are made. Tell me about this process.
Exactly. So once the ice is frozen for 72 hours, when we're making the large cubes, it comes to this station. What we're doing here is Shaq is placing the cube.
Shaq, man, they hired a black brother, man. They not racist, man.
That token black guy.
Our retail trade.
Hey, if we ever hear that, overnight the ice. The ice company was vandalized, was broken into, man. All the ice cubes were stolen. He'll be the first one we look at, man.
Trays, which will then be sealed.
What's special about these cubes? They're slow dissolving and clear as a bell, right?
Clear as a bell, slow dissolving. There's no flavor interference, so the drink stays true to taste. On an average day, we're producing at least 30,000 cubes.
Let's talk about your mission because it's more than just ice.
That's right. One of the things we wanted to do, what we endeavored to do, is to build a company that really accepted people that were maybe outside of the fold, that could feel at home in a company such as ours.
And listen, man, I mean, salute to Shaq, man. I hope Shaq is, I hope Shaq represents us well. I hope he don't do no fucked up shit, man. I hope he, keep his head down, keep his nose clean, man. Because these people seem like good people, man.
Company that
better
really
be careful.
People that were maybe outside of the fold, that could feel at home in a company such as ours. People who need a second chance, for example, may have made
a second chance. Oh, they give us second chances. Yikes. Oh, shit. Well, they are from Chicago though. Like if you're making a business in Chicago, you do kind of like gotta deal with a lot of people who need second chances.
Take one for the team.
Yeah, man. Oh my God! I'm sorry, man. I'm not giving no fucking second chances. If I'm not gonna say that, I probably would. I probably would do that too. Yeah, I probably would give a bunch of second chances. I ain't gonna lie.
There's that
We
virtue
endeavored to be
signaling
the only
again.
company that really accepted people that were maybe outside of the fold, that could feel at home in a company such as ours. People who need a second chance, for example, may have made a mistake early on in their lives, and we wanted to be there for those individuals.
When I first met them, I was in a bad time in my life, and they brought me in. They showed me love, showed me how to produce more.
What you think? The only black guy they have, he's a guy who needs a second chance. I mean, come on, dude.
And they featured him heavily. They featured him heavily in the story. Like they might have 100 employees, and then for some reason they featured the one guy who's black and need a second chance. Wow.
They taught him how to produce more.
Mm-hmm. Virtue signaling. He's a rough one too. You can look on his face, man. That's a rough one, man. That's a rough son, man, right there.
I can tell he's seen some shit.
Yo, his check will be fucked up one day. They gonna see the real side of him. Man.
Yikes.
Sorry, Shaq. It says right here that you only worked 40 hours last week. Man, I worked 60 motherfucking hours last week. Man, I worked my motherfucking money. Shaq, but nah, seriously though. It's Shaq, you could tell, but he's a rough guy, man. But they want to give people second chances. I will say this, man. Give second chances, but don't be stupid. And be more concerned with the business than giving second chances. Because this is a great business, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm gonna get some of this ice, man. I love ice, man. I love ice. So I'm gonna get some of this ice, man. Now that I've seen it, I'm definitely gonna go get some of this ice. But it's just be smart about it, and it's not your business. Like you go ahead.
You could consider that the news came to them and said, "Hey, do you have any like sunmen that are down on their luck that we could put in our little piece?"
That could be true too. That could be true, or it could. Yeah, both scenarios could be equally true. That's true, man. Yeah, both scenarios would be equally probable. Salute to IU McCoy, man. He says, "Hey, Tim is definitely bought off by Israel donors. And he is just here flooding the public square with contrarian nonsense."
Yeah, he just met with the Prime Netanyahu. Couldn't make it more obvious.
Yeah, stirring up trouble and shit. Hey, look at all these racist white people getting mad. He got stabbed. This fucking black dude stabbed this white guy for asking him to leave, man. How dare y'all be mad about that? Yeah, you never know. He's half tiger, but the other half could be juice crew.
Such as ours. People who need a second chance, for example, may have made a mistake early on in their lives, and we wanted to be there for those individuals.
When I first met them, I was in a bad time in my life, and they brought me in. They showed me love, showed me how to produce more. It's been a good experience here.
They gave me the opportunity to, step.
Oh shit!
Another one.
Shout out to these white people, man. They giving brothers jobs, man. And here's the thing: the first time they fuck up, I'm talking about not even a lot. Like the first, like if one of these people was to get online and be like, "I feel so bad for Austin Metcalf." What you mean? Oh, you racist? Hey y'all, the ice company racist. Quarry, boycott Quarry. Niggas will flip on you.
That's where we're at.
And these niggas right here, they don't want to be called coons. They not gonna defend you. They don't be like, hey man, nah, these motherfuckers good people, man. They ain't gonna defend you. Niggas, regular niggas be terrified of being called a coon or being on the wrong side. They gonna leave you out to dry. That's why white people are such a precarious position, man. You can do all this shit, and these niggas wouldn't defend you if somebody called you a racist over some stupid shit. Press one.
been a good experience here.
They gave me the opportunity.
That's why you got to not give a fuck about being called a
establish myself
racist.
back.
Every time a customer comes and buys a box
Yep.
of Pori, whether it's a restaurant or retail, they're really helping us elevate their drinks and elevating the dreams of the people we serve.
The rest is history.
It is a beautiful thing, and this is some beautiful ice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sylvia.
That's a good story, man. Shout out to them, man. Chicago, man. Yeah, man. These cities is big, man. There's a lot going on in these cities that got nothing to do with niggas. At least, like, fundamentally nothing to do with niggas.
It is National Donate Life Month, and the Lurie Children's Siragusa Transplant Program is ringing in April with an extra push.
Doctors, nurses, and families all say the children need your help more than ever. Gabriella Primus is here to tell us all about a special transplant case.
Natalie, Brian, they really are all special cases coming out of Lurie Children's, but I'm going to introduce you to a mom in the northwest suburbs who always said she would do anything for her baby. When her son was diagnosed with a kidney condition, she stuck to her word. Christine Brown is walking around with one less piece of herself, but has gained an even bigger purpose. In April 2021, she donated a kidney to her son, Aiden.
You go into fight or flight. So looking back, there's parts of it that I don't even remember. Just because it happened so quickly, you don't really have time to process what's happening. It's just going through what we need to do to save him.
Aiden was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease when he was just 7 years old. At the time, Christine was pushing doctors to find out why Aiden wasn't growing. After receiving the diagnosis, the disease spread fast. Within 6 weeks, her smiling and active boy progressed to stage 4 kidney disease. He was put on the transplant list for a new kidney.
So had we not pushed to find out what was wrong, Aiden absolutely would have been in the emergency room in kidney failure.
Lucky for Aiden, he didn't have to join the 2,100 children on the national transplant list. His mom came in to help.
So Dad and I went through genetic.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Chicago. Yeah, man. Everything don't surround niggas and the violence that niggas do in these cities. A lot of this stuff, it's just a lot of people that just living in these cities that going to work, living their lives, and staying away from and doing the best they can to stay away from niggas. You know what I'm saying? Doing as best they can to stay away from niggas.
Devastating for this family. More than 50 relatives and loved ones from Chicago are back and forth in Wisconsin. They're holding out hope. They're searching, they're praying over what they call a nightmare of a waiting game. Relatives tell me their 75-year-old patriarch was an experienced boater who only wanted to enjoy spring break with his 2 grandsons.
I don't think he knew that the water levels were so high.
She's talking about her dad, whose body was discovered Friday, and her son, who remains missing in treacherous Wisconsin waters.
Life will never, ever be the same without him.
4 days after Luis DiFilippo's boat would capsize, crews were back in the water looking for his grandson, 20-year-old Fred.
That motherfucker ain't out there for no 4 days of that bro. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I feel the people being hopeful, man. That situation. You got to be hopeful, man. Yeah, shout out to all the white people in Chicago, man. It's just living y'all lives, man. But I would say that you got to be careful about adopting black culture. You can hire some niggas. Don't get me wrong here there, but be careful of adopting the culture or making excuses for it. You don't want no parts of that culture.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of Home Alone. Home Alone takes place in Chicago, I think. And I think it'd be a lot better if they found a way to get sunmen in that movie.
Oh man,
Have them
Jim
as
Crockett.
burglars.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, certain aspects like, so you're saying like whites shouldn't adopt the machismo of the Son or Umbrito culture.
No, I mean I think whites do have a testosterone problem, but they should address it in a different way than kill each other over stupid shit. Because that's who they're gonna kill. Like these whites are not gonna be killing black people. Black people ain't gonna be in their fucking neighborhoods. They will kill each other.
Family of the man shot and killed by Gary. Police says officers didn't do enough to de-escalate the situation.
Police say they were forced to open fire when he allegedly pointed a gun at officers while carrying a 1-year-old boy. WGN's Julian Cruz has details on that.
Good evening. The 38-year-old man identified by loved ones as Antonio McMichaels, the son of a Ford Heights village trustee, his heartbroken mother and other family members alleging that Gary police could have done more to avert the use of deadly force.
Can I get on the bullhorn, let him know that his sister is here?
Sukari Calhoun says she pleaded with Gary police to speak to her barricaded brother late Tuesday to no avail. Calhoun rushing to the barricade scene near 21st and Carolina when she heard the news, and she believes her brother would be alive today if they'd let her communicate with him through a bullhorn or cell phone.
Yes, he would have. They denied me. He didn't even know I was there.
Investigators declining to comment tonight on the family's concerns. Gary police called to the scene of a tense hostage situation Tuesday night. McMichael allegedly holding an adult cousin and a toddler hostage.
I call my nephew. I'm on the phone with him. Boom, a bullet come right through the bathroom.
The wounded cousin managing to escape, police say, with McMichael refusing to leave the apartment even after the SWAT team used tear gas to try to get him out. The violent standoff coming to an end on Wednesday morning, officers breaching the apartment where the armed suspect was shot and killed. McMichaels, who'd recently been released from prison, working to turn his life around, his family says. And tonight,
he was recently released from prison, working to turn his life around.
Any proof?
Second chance, man. He worked at the ice company, man. That's a proof, man. He was working at the ice company, man.
Imagine the shit that Gary Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the shit they see, man.
Man. Wow.
Tonight, they're grieving his loss.
This happened at 4:20 a.m. They didn't get my brother's body off until 8:05. They shot him in his head and then left him on the ground.
McMichael's mother, Antoine McMichael, a village trustee in Fort Heights, alleging police left the body uncovered until Wednesday morning after a Gary police officer shot and killed the 38-year-old Antonio McMichaels early Wednesday, who, according to investigators, came out of his girlfriend's apartment, allegedly pointing a gun at police as he carried a 1-year-old in his arms. That 1-year-old.
Damn, he came out pointing a gun at police with a 1-year-old in his arm.
That just shows the aim to shoot him, and man, it's just
shows that they don't value life.
Both family members,
even their offspring, especially their offspring, I should say.
What is it?
Dude, crazy.
What is it that they were supposed to do? What would have been enough?
Because if they don't shoot, the cops don't take him out, and he shoots the little boy. Then it's like, well, if that was a white kid, y'all would have took the shoot the gunman out. But you know what I'm saying? And it was this is nothing that these cops could have done right in this situation.
Members say his 1-year-old son, Tyrell. Both Gary Police and the Lake County, Indiana Sheriff's Office declining to comment on today's developments. In Gary, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
Wow.
To another top story now we've been following closely for days.
Yes, indeed. The man linked to the killing of a 9-year-old girl and 2 others is now facing additional charges.
This all began Sunday when 3 bodies were found in a burning car on Detroit's west side. On Monday, a person of interest taken into custody. Tuesday, the suspect, Edward Redding, charged with a gun crime in a separate case. And now, today's arraignment canceled with no reason being provided.
Of course, our hearts are broken for family and friends grieving the losses of 9-year-old Ava Sutton, Courtney Davis, and Sandra Davis. 7 News Detroit reporter Randy Wembley has an update in this case.
Edward Redding, the man linked to that triple homicide, was set to be arraigned at 36th District Court late Wednesday afternoon. That's now expected to happen in the coming days. 29-year-old Edward Redding is charged with 1 count of fleeing and eluding police and another count of resisting and obstructing police as they sought to arrest him in Southwest Detroit Sunday. Those charges coming on top of another in federal court, felon in possession of a firearm. Retired Detroit Assistant Police Chief Steve Dolan explains why Redding has not been brought up on murder charges.
Because they're trying to nail everything down. You don't want to submit a warrant and have it returned. And that's happened in other cases where they've submitted a warrant and the prosecutor said, there's not enough here, and send it back. So the murder warrant hasn't been submitted, the other stuff has. So they're going to keep them as long as they can, which they should, until they can nail down enough for a warrant to be signed by the prosecutor's office.
Police suspect Redding in the death of 9-year-old Ava Sutton, whose body was found inside a burning car. Authorities have yet to identify the 2 other women inside that car. Elantra Sutton, Ava's mother, says the 2 women were her mother and sister, Sandra and Courtney Davis. Redding is Courtney's ex-boyfriend.
My mom and my...
Damn.
Black Lives Matter?
I'm telling you. Man.
Look at those scary Fever fans that are hurling racial slurs.
I'm telling you, man. We expect so much more out of y'all than we do out of ourselves. We have so much more faith in y'all too.
It's like night and day.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of faith in y'all, man. A lot of faith in y'all to eat shit, turn the other cheek.
And right now we have details after a triple shooting over the weekend in Northeast Miami-Dade.
A mother was killed and 2 children critically injured after the SUV they were in was riddled with bullets. Local 10's Michaela Hightower is live in Miami with family reaction. Michaela.
Christy and Annalise, we do have a positive update from the family on 11-year-old Reagan Bowens. The family telling us after she was in a coma, she did wake up last night. Her eyes were open and she was nodding her head. The really sad part about all of this, though, is that Reagan has no idea that her mom did not survive the shooting.
Hearts are heavy for one family after a violent shooting claimed the life of a loved one and left their 11-year-old relative critically hospitalized.
Well, I don't think words can describe how I feel. I can tell you they ripped my heart out.
It's all Fanny Marshall feels right now. Her 36-year-old daughter, Desiree Brown, was gunned down over the weekend. Her young granddaughter, Reagan Bowens, has been fighting for her life, undergoing multiple surgeries, and at one point in a coma. A 12-year-old boy who hasn't been named has also been hospitalized. According to Miami-Dade deputies, the family of 3 were sitting in this black SUV Saturday around 1 a.m. when investigators say several gunmen shot at the car that was left riddled in bullets. Neighbors say they heard those moments.
Como boom, 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 boom.
It happened in the Biscayne Gardens area of Miami-Dade County at the intersection of Northeast 141st Street and Northeast 2nd Court. Local 10 learned Brown worked as a TSA agent and was awarded Employee of the Month October 2023. It was for helping a lightheaded traveler. She was interviewed by Miami International Airport at the time.
I think
Damn.
it's good to be.
She was just on the news for that shit. That's crazy. Sunman came in.
Traveler. She was interviewed by Miami International Airport at the time.
I think it's good to be nice. Sometimes you can ask, people if they're okay or not, and try to encourage everybody to do the same.
Brown shared 2 children with Reagan Bowen's father. He declined to speak with us as he says his full focus is on Reagan right now, but he shared this photo of her taken hours before the shooting. The family.
So somebody else shot her?
Looks like it.
It was a hit.
They probably confused her for the ops or something like that. Who knows?
We'll see, man. We shall see, man. Make sure y'all support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, and Super Chat. Mods, lock the doors, man. Lock the doors, mods. Draw the drapes, man. We need some seeds planted in here, man. Until they plant some seeds, man, lock the doors. Shout out to Marvel Sap, man.
The family telling us Bowens is a 6th grader at Arthur and Polly Mae's Conservatory of the Arts, adding she loves to dance and sharing this video. The family is now pleading with someone to come forward with any information on suspects. Deputies say they believe 2 shooters were involved.
If anybody know anything, hear anything, seen anything, whatever it is, contact the police department.
Good luck with that.
Right.
Reagan's father also telling us in our text thread that Reagan is a light and that she was always checking up on her father, always affectionate, even sharing that while she was at school, she would text her father asking if he was okay, just to check up on him. He is devastated. And again, he says his focus right now is on his daughter's recovery. That's the very latest. We're reporting live outside of the Ryder Trauma Center. Michaela Hightower, Local 10 News.
And today we're learning new details on a deadly.
Whoa, new details? New details?
And today we're learning new details on a deadly triple shooting in Northeast Miami-Dade. A woman was killed and 2 children are now recovering in the hospital. Thank you for being with us tonight on this Sunday. I'm Chris Hush.
And I'm Lorena Inclán. We're also hearing from the daughter.
And I'm Lorena Inclán.
Of the victim. NBC6's Laura Rodriguez joins us now live with that exclusive interview. Laura.
Just sad all around. Those kids, just 11 and 12 years old.
Okay,
and
so let's know news.
Safe.
Well, tonight, only on 6, we are hearing from the family of a young mother who came to Miami from Las Vegas for a cosmetic procedure and died hours later.
What do you think that cosmetic procedure was?
That ass.
I'm shaking my head right
advertising
now, very heavily.
as a post-surgery recovery house.
NBC6 investigative reporter Amy Viteri spoke with the woman's mother and has why she is calling for change to keep others safe.
Monique's mother, Wakila, tells me she wants to share her daughter's story, but asked not to show her face on camera in an effort to protect her privacy as she mourns the loss of her first child. It was supposed to be an adventure documented on social media. We get us some coffee right now, though. 2 sisters traveling to South Florida from Nevada to get cosmetic surgery and recover together.
They were really excited.
According to their mother, 28-year-old Monique Miller and her 19-year-old sister Kiera both underwent procedures at Havana Plastic Surgery Clinic on West Flagler Street in early March. Afterward, she says they came here to a business operating out of this home on Southwest 4th Street called Kayla's Recovery House. According to their family, the sisters learned of this so-called recovery house through social media, and that's how they decided to stay here following their surgery. But Monique never made it home.
I have to remind myself every day that this is real. Monique is not coming back.
Amonique's mother, Wakila, tells me she wants to share her daughter's story. Amonique was a new mother herself to a 1-year-old girl.
My daughter's supposed to be here with her daughter, and unfortunately, she's not.
Instead, according to this Miami police report, officers and fire rescue crews responded to the house the night of March 7th, which they say was operating as an illegal post-plastic surgery recovery home. Inside, they found Amonique already dead and showing signs of rigor mortis, an indication she had likely been dead for hours. They describe her as heavily bandaged, face down on a bed.
From what Kiara is saying, that a muscle relaxer was given and possibly multiple Percocets.
Her sister Kiara also told police staff gave Amonique medication, which is redacted in this report. She went to sleep, but never woke up.
First, the response was, she's fine, nothing is wrong. But once they realized that she had passed away, then it wasn't that they treated it like an emergency, but panic started to set in.
To be clear, we don't know yet what exactly caused Amonique's death.
That's correct.
At this time, the medical examiner has not linked any medication to Amonique's death and is still working to determine the cause and manner of death. We contacted an attorney for the woman who runs Kayla's recovery, Kayla Oliver, to ask about all of this. He told us we don't comment on pending investigations.
Someone like you have been reporting on this for 4 years. So where's the legislation? Where's the follow-up?
It's a unlicensed assisted living facility operating as a recovery house for post.
We've previously reported on the growing number of unlicensed recovery houses operating in South Florida, the law enforcement efforts to shut them down, and calls for tougher laws.
Amonique is not the first.
Hey, hold up, Buck.
And I hope that she really is the last that this happens.
Seems to me that these recovery houses are just fronts for, she goes there expecting drugs, right? Like they're just buying drugs.
Nah, they're illegal shit, man. I knew people that did.
How does the doctor play into this? What does the operation entail? That's what I'm wondering. What
They're not
risks
real
do they
doctors.
tell them about it?
Happens too.
Wakila says the state has an obligation to enact policies that protect the women who travel here for cosmetic procedures, women like her daughter.
It is a big deal. A little girl is not without her mother today.
We reached out to Ivana, the clinic where Amonique had her surgery, but have not yet heard back. Miami police say her death remains under investigation.
What surgery was she getting?
NBC6 News.
What would you think she was going to get?
I'm thinking BBL, but what was it?
Yeah,
You just answered it.
Yeah, it was BBL.
Gotta be.
No, they didn't say, so that lets you. That's a red flag that they didn't say which one. So I'm pretty
At least
BBL.
At least she was in the States, because it would have been worse if she was out the country.
I mean, she did.
Worse?
You talking about as far as investigation into her death, maybe? But like, she got wild.
There's some, yeah. She's the fact that she is dead, but I'm just saying some spots, if you do it out the country, is sketchy, and you got to get the right doctor. The investigation would have took longer.
Death by BBL, another sad tragedy.
Yeah, man.
It's a low self-esteem, man. That's what I call it.
Jeez, man. Yeah. Man,
The following program is brought to you in living color on WNBC TV.
New York.
Central Harlem, where analogies are easily drawn between day-to-day existence and the biblical struggle between good and evil. On Sundays, the forces for good gather in scores of churches which dot the community. At the Upper Park Avenue Baptist Church, the congregation awaits the sermon of its pastor, a man who equates evil with just one thing: crime. Words alone do not serve the Reverend Oberia Dempsey in what he sees as the onrushing Armageddon. He and his followers have formed an armed
He's
private
banging
militia
three of those
to meet the
singers.
challenge of crime.
Oh, no doubt.
Church vigilantes have the tacit
At
support
least.
of the police. The veteran Harlem Police Commander said it. It's a case of the good guys against the bad. In those terms, the Reverend Dempsey is clearly a good guy. Just 45 minutes from Broadway, as the old George M. Cohan song goes, we found traces of the impact of organized crime. New Rochelle in Westchester County looks outwardly respectable. Expensive homes line the pleasant lanes that fan out from the business center. Some 77,000 people live here, but law enforcement officials agree not all of them live within the law. 109 Wickagill Terrace is the home of Joe Tufo, described in a 1964 report of the State Investigations Commission as controlling most policy operations in New Rochelle.
Well, he took the work out and they left.
Gambling's nemesis here is this man, a minister named Albert Fay Hill. Working with members of his church, most of them housewives, the Reverend Hill spends his days tailing gamblers. He uses walkie-talkies to coordinate the activities of the women working with him.
Okay.
And this is what they often see: fast-moving relays of gambling receipts and betting slips. These films were shot by the Reverend Hill, and Hill's informants tell him when the day's works, as the gambling receipts and slips are called, may be going. At the moment, a so-called policy bank in nearby Pelham is believed to be the ultimate destination of the works. At first, the Reverend Hill was not taken seriously, but persistence paid off. Evidence gathered by Fay Hill's people resulted in 36 arrests by federal authorities.
Towards Pelham, we're on Washington Avenue and 7th. Do you read me? Read you beautifully.
So wait, is this guy running a sting on the mafia?
By thousands of burglars.
Huh? What?
Is he running a sting on the mafia, this preacher?
Look like it, man.
Wow.
Look like it. Look like he's
Joe Tufo? Gotta be.
Yeah, it's definitely a mobster.
Prey on New York apartments. But this man is not a burglar. He is a highly skilled New York City police detective whose business it is to know the working methods of the so-called pick men. After he has picked the lock, the burglar uses a plastic card, a Lloyd in the vernacular, to ease the door latch. The more sophisticated among the burgling fraternity may do the job so smoothly that you would not realize that your apartment had been robbed until you noticed something missing. Despite their understanding of the burglar's modus operandi, the police solve only about 14% of the more than 12,000 burglaries in New York each month. Electronics to the rescue.
Damn,
In this
a month?
enactment, the burglar enters a darkened apartment. A radar device has detected the burglar's very presence.
Emergency, please call New York.
Both the apartment building telephone operator and the police receive automatic alerts.
Manhattan. Emergency, please respond at once. Repeating. There is a burglary in progress.
Another electronic marvel, a computer, speeds police to the scene. If every link works perfectly, technology may catch a burglar. However, most burglars are not caught. There's endless gadgetry in the war on crime. Women today arm themselves with tear gas guns before venturing out into the streets.
They do?
We also try to talk crime to death.
We have the worst crime situation.
Man, he went straight to the niggas. He said we also try to talk crime to death. It went straight to the blacks.
Is he going to say something wrong with their mind?
Oh, shit.
Worst crime situation, the most horrifying crime situation in our particular city and unfortunately in our community that history has ever recorded.
There isn't a woman that doesn't go from the subway to her apartment or from the bus line to her apartment at night, and I dare say most of the men too, without fear. First, that she might not make it without being attacked, and two, when you get to the apartment, has it been robbed and what was taken? Now, that's no way to live in this great city, in this great country.
But gadgets and talk are not stemming the overwhelming tide of crime which sweeps over this great city and country. The worst of it is that the police aren't able to stem it either. And that prompts another hue and cry.
You're not safe in your own home. You're not safe in your own business. You're not safe anywhere. How long could this go on? They're destroying state by state,
Those
city
women are
by
gone.
city. Well, how long are we going to take this? And I'm asking Mayor Lindsay, let him answer. How long are we going to take this?
I'm Edwin Newman, NBC News. This program will, among other things, attempt to answer the question asked by that woman. It will look at the extent and nature of crime in New York today and how we as a community are moving to meet it. In a broad sense, it's a program about all of us. What do we know or care about the so-called crime problem? How do we respond to it? For crime is not a problem, not a job for the police alone. It is no coincidence that the ancient Greek equivalent of policeman was citizen.
Word up, this is Def Jam production. Featuring man. Up in the sky, beat me now, sleep off.
A survey by Lewis Harris reveals that people in cities are increasingly concerned about going out at night on city streets. Between 300,000 and 500,000 New Yorkers own firearms, and requests for pistol permits are at an all-time high.
Wow.
Last year, the police seized some 4,000 illegally owned handguns. A kind of mild hysteria mixes with resignation in the city, and moviegoers are treated to fantasies which reflect a growing public cynicism toward law enforcement and the police. Along the empty side streets of Manhattan, doormen wait out the night like lonely sentinels in the darkness. Many commercial avenues and boulevards are abandoned to the criminal and to his traditional enemy, the cop on the beat. And who can calculate the job opportunities and the pure fun of the city that are lost because of that? At dawn, the city's vibrant life returns. The crime rate falls off somewhat, for nearly half of all major crimes are committed in the 8 hours between 4 p.m. and midnight. As Lewis Mumford has observed, the city has a way of protecting and nurturing criminals. In cities, they exist out of all proportion to the general population. If there are 100 New Yorkers in these scenes, statistically, half a dozen of them will become victims of crimes this year. Nearly 500,000 crimes are reported in New York each year, and police believe many others go unreported. There may be 3 times as many burglaries as statistics indicate, but episodes like the actual case shown here, filmed for the Daily News by a photographer who happened to be across the way, cost New Yorkers $75 million a year. During the last 6 months of 1967, the burglary rate increased by 9%. Shoplifting, industrial thefts, and other reported larcenies over $50, many of them concentrated in the heavily industrial and commercial Lower West Side of Manhattan, totaled some $14 million last year. Authorities believe the actual figure may be 10 times that, since many such thefts simply go...
Yo, that shit is just crazy, man. Crime was a big deal back then, man. Crime. This whole notion that it's some crack or some shit. Crack did that shit. No, motherfucker. This shit always been like that, man. Always been like that.
I find it amazing how the gun laws are so different back then compared to now in New York.
Yeah. They had to change the laws because of niggas. Whenever you have black people, you have to change the gun laws, man. That's why Memphis is trying to do it. Remember we talked about Memphis? They want it to be the only place in Tennessee that doesn't have constitutional carry. And it might seem harsh for me to say that. DC, Chocolate City, strictest gun laws in the fucking country until maybe like 2 years ago.
It was Chocolate City.
Still the murder capital, and it was still the murder capital of the country.
True.
With the strictest gun laws. And all of the victims, almost literally statistically, all of them were black.
That's when I lived in New York. When they still use tokens.
We supposed to believe that in those days they was worried about somebody other than you know who.
Weren't you around that time, Jimmy?
I was in New York at that time, yeah.
Who were people worried about doing something to them on the train?
Honest though, man, I'm telling you, it wasn't bad. But you knew who to expect. But even then, this was in the Giuliani era. It wasn't bad.
This is 1980.
New York City subway system. It has turned into a nightmare for the
I
millions
guess you were
who
afraid
ride
of
it
the
each
Warriors?
day. On an average,
Gangs was roaming the subway.
Yeah.
And it's such a big city, everybody's not going to be a victim of crime.
on an average week, over 300 felonies will be committed down here, ranging from robbery to assault, and on occasion, murder.
This is back when there was a separate police
The
force
reason
for
for the
subway
crime
as well.
wave? The city says it doesn't have the money to pay for transit police.
Hello, I'm Fred Noriega. This is the 42nd Street and 8th Avenue subway station on the IND line. Your chances of being mugged or assaulted here are better than any other station in the city. Subway riders are scared, and they're more than willing to talk about it.
I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I usually hold my purse really close to me.
Hold Billie Eilish.
And I don't carry a lot of money.
We're trying to be very careful, and we are very
Still
frightened,
good.
especially for the older people. You know, they're trying to do anything. They grab you.
The Golden Girl.
The bums.
Who's doing
Gliders was
that?
acting up a
There's
little.
plenty of
Gliders
them.
was acting up
How
a
do you
little here.
feel when you come into the subways?
A little apprehensive, a little afraid. The unknown. You never know. You come down and you wonder whether you're going to come back out the same way that you went down.
A couple of times, a couple of guys were smoking cigarettes, blowing smoke in my face and whatnot, and I didn't like it. So I told them to put it out and so forth and so on. I had to smack one of them, so forth and so on. And nothing became of it, but it still was a problem.
Protection is non-existent.
Here we
and
go.
I feel that
That's some
it
man
is
talk,
really
baby.
Yeah, some man, tough bad motherfucker, man. He bad motherfuckers.
deteriorating, and nobody seems to give it.
This guy's
What
on his
is
way to Times
happening?
Square.
They got me by the leg. I was going up the stairs, and they got a hold of my leg, and I dragged my bag, and they got $70 out of my bag. I had just got paid.
Meet 21-year-old Rocky Pratt. For him, the subway has been a playground. He spent close
He
to
looks
7
old.
years ripping people off down here, and says for him, or any mugger for that matter, the subway traveler is easy pickings.
It was like a game to us, but to me, you know. I mean, we would go down there with
the attitude that
He's like the white
police
pimp,
would
you
bust
know.
us.
No, I
That's what
told
he
you,
wants.
Gliders was acting up back then.
That wanted to throw down on us, couldn't bother us, and we would do what we wanted on the trains. It would be like our choice, to take anything that we wanted to take.
I'm Marie Torre. This report on the public frustration with subway crime will take me to the offices of Mayor Koch, Transit Police Chief James Meehan, and William
Ooh,
McKechnie,
Koch.
who is the
Ooh,
union
that's a
voice for the
bad dude.
almost 2,300 transit police officers. I'll be asking the same kind of questions you've been asking. Why is there crime in the subways, and how long is it going to go on before something is done about it?
On this edition of Channel 2 The People, I will talk to victims and muggers, and I'll also be riding with the angels.
The real Noriega.
Right.
There are 230 miles of subway running beneath this town, and most of it is considered dangerous and unsafe. This past summer alone, felonies were up nearly 70%, and the reason is obvious. There are just not enough transit police down here. And nobody knows that better than this guy. For 7 years, beginning when he was a mere 13 years old, Rocky Pratt was a rip-off artist.
Everybody says, nah, it ain't never gonna happen to me until it does. Big or small, we take moves to take anybody off. Basically, it was like a game for us. I mean, it's like a playground.
And the average rider is easy pickings for any punk or thief who happens to be operating on the trains.
They advertise all the time. They wear jewelry. It's like an ego trip. People go on ego trips. They wear their expensive clothes, their jewelry. So they're gonna have the money too.
Pratt's system was always the same. He and a couple of his buddies would hop on a car and scan the train for police.
Majority of the time, we know where a cop is. If you see him on the station, there ain't no cops for at least 10 more stations and stuff. If there's no cop there, we do our thing.
He would then position himself between the last and the next to last car and wait for his victim. In this case, me.
As soon as somebody came walking between the second to the last car, and accidentally throw my shoulder, he would bump into me. And as soon as he looked at me, with that surprise look, I was just joking.
Tommy, is it really unsafe down here for people?
Yeah, very unsafe. Like I said before, people still advertise. They advertise like they want to be ripped off. They're very foolish.
Mike McHale and Bob McGuire have almost 20 years of experience between them as transit cops. Both admit that their police force is losing the battle to the underground enemy. In the past 5 years, over 1,000 transit police have vanished from the platforms due to layoffs and attrition.
Down here, what we basically are patrolmen just on uniform patrol. There's not too many specialized units other than the decoy squads. Everybody on the transit police is actively fighting crime, and if we don't have the number of men, we can't fight crime as well.
I've fallen out on roll calls where there were 10 cops covering the entire Midtown subway system. I've seen less cops working the entire Midtown subway system.
The transit police reported that during the summer months of 1979, approximately 2,388 more felonies were reported than in the same period of 1978. One of those victims was Alicia Flynn, who was ripped off in the middle of the afternoon.
He grabbed my purse, and he continued to pull me down the stairs. And the first thing I did was start screaming. He wouldn't let go, and I was continuing to be dragged down
Really
the
pisses
stairs.
him off.
And I looked over, and the man in the subway booth was doing nothing, was reacting in no way. And then there was another man in the telephone booth. And this is all very close by.
They can all see you?
They could all see me. I was screaming to the top of my lungs. And I got no reaction from anyone. And I was still at this point holding on to my purse.
So one reason I don't think more transit cops would help crime, I think that they would just find a car without any cops and they would just rob someone. Like, you can't have a cop on every car. And they don't care. They're not thinking beyond that.
Yeah, especially in New York.
Well, like the guy said, he had a
This man is too
system. Like,
dragon.
you know what I mean? If you see a cop at one station, then there are going to be a couple more stations where they're not going to be there. So, like, you know.
What goes on in the subway is a reflection of what goes on in the city as a whole. If you're letting criminals run amok and just rob and steal, and it goes on in the subway, perhaps worse so. But during the Giuliani era, it was a different thing, man. I never felt threatened or unsafe on the subways.
Dragging me. And I looked in his eyes and it said,
I
the
did.
next thing is if you don't let go, I'm going to have to slug you or something. Half the tears I was crying was because nobody responded. It's not like they had to, strike back at the man or anything, but just yell, just let the man startle him, do something, but just not leave it like that.
It's not that over 300 people are hit on an average week. It's that we seem to have surrendered to the criminal.
People are scared. People are scared to take action. They'll see somebody getting jumped or whatever on the train. I've seen it a lot of times. And people just stare at it. Say, I don't want to get involved. They're afraid.
I'd help anybody that screamed. I'd go to anybody's rescue. It's not that I'd be so strong as to be able to fight off whoever, was attacking, but I'd scream, I'd help them, I'd let them know I was there somehow.
We've made it advantageous for the young punks and for the criminal element in this city to just come wantonly and decide to rip off, beat up, maim, brutalize, rape, assault people at their will, and we idly sit by and virtually never get involved. That's why crime is on the rise. 30, 40 years ago, you'd have never expected a situation like that because the people wouldn't have tolerated it.
You've seen this face before, I'm sure, and this T-shirt too. They belong to Curtis Lewa and his guardian angels, of which Rocky Pratt is now a member. They have become a kind of security blanket for the intimidated strap hanger.
I want you guys to spread out the same way you normally.
I met Curtis in an angel patrol at one of the city's worst stations, 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. Within a half hour of their arrival, they were needed. A tired old man threw himself in front of a train. A crowd formed and the angels held him back while the police dealt with the tragedy. I notice that the guardian angels are here. Are they helpful under these circumstances?
In this particular situation, they did assist us in that they held back the people from their
Cops don't look like that anymore either.
And also, they blocked the seat.
What would have happened if they weren't?
White men look so much different with mustaches, man.
But he's over 6 feet. He's a white guy. You don't see a lot of that in New York anymore.
We rarely see white people with mustaches, though. Rarely facial hair. Rarely.
This is the end of the 70s when you still had the mustache thing happening. Burt Reynolds was the biggest box office star.
Magnum PI.
But you weren't here. They were of some help. That's what you're asking. Yes, in this particular situation, they were.
But Sliwa says the police in the city are hostile towards the angels.
Well, to be very blunt, I think our mere existence points out a lot of the inadequacies of the system itself, both politically, in terms of the officials, and also in terms of the police. We are out here because we have to be, in reality. Survival of our communities, of our peoples. And they object to the fact that we're out here because it does point out that they are not able to deal with the problem.
How safe are the subways?
They're not safe at all. In fact, I advise my own mother and father not to.
We haven't seen a fat person in this whole fucking video, man.
Thanks. I advise my own loved ones not to take the train.
People walk a lot in New York.
Totally unsafe.
The authorities say they will need a 65-cent fare in order to increase the amount of police on duty. Sliwa thinks the 5-cent increase could be forgotten if the people in charge would use a little common sense.
Well, there are a lot of things that they can do that wouldn't.
We also haven't seen one person who's having a good hair day either.
Cost them a dime, theoretically. Why can they not have a system at night? It reaches a certain point after, rush hour, where they have louver gates, where they can close off entire sections of the station, also down on the platform. Why do they have 8, 10 cars running after 8 o'clock at night? You have people spread out continuously throughout the train. Every train I see late at night after 8 o'clock, you notice broken windows in the back trains. Why? Because the trains are so spread out that there's nobody ever in the back cars. All the troublemakers go back there, vandalism. The city isn't using logic. All this graffiti vandalism problems can be easily solved by closing off massive portions of our unused stations at night and then opening them back up in the morning for rush hour.
That's a great point, man. Those guys are still around. The fact that he's still around is insane. That's crazy. He's still hanging in there, man.
This week, we're taking you back to the 70s, an era marked by soaring crime. From the infamous Son of Sam serial killer to the rise and fall of gangland empires, revisit the end of this turbulent decade. Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City.
Damn. Son of Sam, I already seen that. I don't want to see Son of Sam with you. Son of Sam. Oh, man. Wow. Let's do a couple of cities before we get out here. Give me a city, man. Make sure y'all support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, with Super Chat.
The Congo.
We did the Congo the other day. Ain't nothing new happening over there.
Rebels winning.
No, they just stopped. Like, I don't know. Is they having floods and shit over there? And I think it's kind of like slowed down.
Do Houston.
Houston?
Yeah.
Houston town.
All those people were fucking just great shape, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. No fat people. I would be considered fat.
And we begin with breaking news. Good evening, I'm Caroline Collins.
Smash.
A man found shot to death inside of a car, and police are now searching for the killers. This is all unfolding near the Texas Southern University campus, which was on lockdown earlier this afternoon. That's where we find Fox 26's Sherman DeSalle. Now, Sherman, what are police saying at this hour?
Yeah, very preliminary information right now. We're on the corner of Ennis and Rosewood. The scene is right behind me. They've blocked it off because the crime scene unit's here. They're actually gathering evidence as well as taking care of the body that's found inside of this car. So pretty big scene right now. But here's what we know so far. The initial call came in about 2:30. HPD got a call about a shooting in progress over here on the corner of Ennis and Rosewood. They found one man dead in the driver's seat of a dark Honda sedan. Surveillance video in the neighborhood actually shows two suspects running from the scene and heading toward Blodgett. They also managed to get picked up by a silver Chrysler 300 somewhere in the area. So police are looking for
Chrysler
these
300.
two suspects right now. One is described
wow.
as thin with short dreadlocks, white t-shirt, dark colored shorts, and white bag. The other suspect
Thin with short dreadlocks.
They did not say the
described as a
race, though. They
heavyset
got the
black
clothes,
male
the
with
color.
dreadlocks, a white shirt, and a black bag. Now, initially, there was a lockdown at TSU as well as 3 campuses within HISD nearby, but those lockdowns have been cleared. Campuses are cleared. But now we're starting to see students, and we've also seen who we believe to be family members of the victim inside of this car. They responded. They were very emotional, very upset after learning the news that the person who was reported dead here is a family member or a loved one of theirs. We're still waiting to hear more information on that. As soon as we find out, we'll let you know on our Fox
Haitian
Lab.
dude,
Reporting
man.
from across
Sherman
the street
DeSalle.
from TSU, Sherman DeSalle, Fox 26 News.
Are you sure?
Black victim, black perpetrator.
Yeah. Whack that motherfucker. Ooh.
Home invasion.
Suspects involved in a deadly home. Morning, the search is on for multiple suspects involved in a deadly home invasion over in Southwest Houston.
Yeah, Houston police say this all happened in an apartment complex off of Westridge Road. That is where we find our Devon Roming. He joins us live from the scene. Devon,
Asian women are overrepresented in
news
makers, yeah. I mean, by far, like they're like what, 1% of the population or 2% of the population?
Yeah, they kill off 2 tick marks, you know. They get women and minority. So they get get moved up.
Yvonne, any arrests in this case?
Well, Jacob and Sherman, as of right now, no, but things are much quieter out here than they were roughly 8 hours ago at the Villa Solana apartments. The scene has since cleared, but we do know that the suspect in this case, at least one of them, was killed, shot and killed here at the scene. Investigators with the Houston Police Department say this all happened at around 9 o'clock Wednesday night in an apartment at the Villa Solana apartments off West Ridge Road. There were 2 residents inside the home at the time, and police say an armed suspect broke in through a window. One of the residents then shot the intruder, killing him, while police say several other suspects took off running. Fortunately, though, the people who were inside the apartment at the time of the incident weren't hurt.
Wow.
We're not sure if this was targeted or not. At this point, it appears to be an attempted burglary that turned into a home invasion once they realized that the person was inside.
Right now, police are actively searching for the other suspects involved, and they tell us at this time, no charges will be filed against the resident of the apartment. Houston police are asking anyone with information that could lead to an arrest in this case to call them. Reporting live.
Wow, he just whacked the motherfucker and the rest of them ran. That was good. That was a good shooting, man. Oh, wow, we got a mass shooting in Memphis, man. What the hell? Didn't hear nothing about that, man.
The time now is 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
From WREG in Memphis,
Remember that?
this is News Channel 3 at 10.
Yo, if you ask a sister that, they're gonna call you racist. What you mean 909? Why you don't ask white women with it too?
Understand that there's a level of danger that comes with this job when we all took it. We just hate to see that it ended in a tragic matter for anybody on any staff.
Breaking news topping the 10 tonight. Those working to prevent violence in the city come together in support of one of their own. This all happening after a drive-by shooting at an office that's specifically working to weed out gun violence in Memphis.
The drive-by of the violence interrupt his office. We just talked about that the other day. The violence interrupt in Baltimore, they got killed.
They say weed out, but at this point, you got a whole garden. There's no weeding this out.
It's a tough job, man. That is a tough job.
The 10 tonight. Those working to prevent violence in the city come together in support of one of their own. This all happening after a drive-by shooting at an office that's specifically working to weed out gun violence in Memphis. Hello, I'm Greg Hurst.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. The shooting happened outside Memphis Allies on South Mendenhall. 5 men are injured, 1 critical, another man pronounced dead at the scene. Let's get straight out to WREG's Brian Ditlake, who joins us live from Regional 1 with the latest.
Stephanie, Greg, I want to point out something real quick from Memphis Allies website. They have one saying that says, "One life lost to gun violence is one too many," and that certainly resonates today when we spoke with the family and mother of 22-year-old Matthew Williams, the young man killed in this tragedy. The family did not want to go on camera, but say that he was there to make a positive change in his life.
Let me begin by offering condolences to the family and the loved ones of the gentleman who lost his life on today.
Just as police started their briefing on a mass shooting off Hickory Hill, South Mendenhall, the mother of 22-year-old Matthew Williams stood directly behind officers. Her son pronounced dead on scene.
At this time, investigators are combing over evidence and following up on investigative leads.
Damn, she just found out her son is dead. That's crazy. Real time.
Trying to find the suspects responsible.
Memphis police say besides Williams, there were 5 other male victims, 1 listed as critical and the other 4 are said to be okay.
So there's a mass shooting in a major city. I mean, I guess Memphis, and no one heard a peep about it. Not a peep about it. That's my retort to that black guy earlier who was talking about crime and it's not necessarily blacks that commit crime. If this was a mass shooting, if a white dude had committed this mass shooting, it would have been everywhere.
If the victims
I
were
mean,
all white.
This kind of
Yeah.
shooting, it's a monthly event in any case.
What, in any city?
More than that.
In Memphis, you're getting
Yeah,
this every month, I'd say.
No, mass shootings somewhere around the country are like every day. But they mostly like that's what I'm saying. That's where the misconception is like, oh, it's whites doing mass shootings. I'm like, no, most of the mass shootings are done by sons.
gang and street beef. They don't count those. They only count like when somebody writes a manifesto or some shit like that.
No, I mean they're counted,
These
but they're
sources
not
close to
like
the scene.
publicized. Like, you know what I mean? They're counting the statistics, but they're not publicized.
This is at an office. This looks like an industrial area with a lot of people. This is like
Business
an office.
park.
Yeah, business park. Like someone did a mass shit at a business park. That's big time news, man.
The scene claims shots were fired during a drive-by shooting as people inside sheltered in place. Memphis Allies, an organization known to curb gun violence while working with young people, sent out this statement that reads in part, "We are heartbroken over the senseless act of gun violence on Wednesday that claimed the life of a Memphis Allies program participant at one of our sites." It goes on to say, while we are devastated by Wednesday's events, it will not shake our resolve to continue working with the community leaders and partner organizations to reduce gun violence and make Memphis safer. One of those partner organizations with that same goal came out to show their support.
It's not a relationship where it's them over there and we're over here. There's one Memphis. There's one problem. And there's people that's come together with the solution.
K. Darrell Cohen leads Heal 901 and says the work they do is crucial and it doesn't come without risks.
When you go out and you're in these situations and in these communities and trying to interrupt violence and stop violence, there's always this looming fact that even though I'm out here doing good, at any given moment it can continue and it could be one of us.
The family members of Williams say he was at one of Memphis Allies programs, changing his ways and growing. Cohen encourages anyone involved in the streets and want to change to try and stay the course.
There is a safe way out.
With his pants
and that's
pulled all the way
partnering with
up.
Memphis Allies, partnering with Block Squad, Memphis Allies, these organizations that are here to help eliminate violence in our communities. We're here
What
to
is
help.
this guy
but
talking
understanding that
about?
the things of your
We interrupted violence. It's dangerous. Like, what?
Yeah, it's the violence follows.
What are you
y'all.
doing?
Y'all brought the violence there. This ain't no street corner. They brought the violence there. Whoever came there came to kill one of their participants in their program. And shot 5 other people in the process.
Violence magnets.
And he probably said something on social
Insiders.
media. That kid might have said something on social media about some dude that came up there and shot him.
things of your past and those things that you've done in the streets, that you have to right your wrongs.
Now, at this time, police say they are still looking for the suspects responsible for this tragic shooting. If you have any information about this incident, you are encouraged to call Crime Stoppers at 528-CASH. But for now, we are live in the medical district. Brian Ditlake for your news leader, WREG, News Channel 3.
All right, this incident is showing just how important this organization, Memphis Allies, is. Brian, thanks.
So they shot a violence interrupter. Sad. Deadly Virginia mass shooting.
The Gawk fell asleep.
Yeah.
Then Ock would wake up.
Now's your chance to say the N-word, man.
Hey, cut it out.
I love that that's the thought that we're all sitting around waiting to do that, you know?
Offering condolences.
Jeez.
BB King.
Jesus Christ, man. Didn't hear a peep about that, man. I'm talking about not a peep.
Only one guy dead.
Involved in a deadly.
Yeah, it's slight shit. Could have been worse if it was a nonsense shooter.
On tonight's Breaking Bond, a 29-year-old habitual offender on parole until 2040 is back behind bars tonight. She's accused of committing more crimes while free from jail on a PR bond. Fox 26's Randy Wallace
Crime of
reports from
being
the
hot?
courthouse.
No.
Sandy Broussard has an extensive criminal history in several counties. Now she's charged with credit card abuse involving elderly victims. We first told you about 26-year-old Javian Major and 28-year-old Sandy Broussard last year. While allegedly operating an unlicensed funeral business, police say the pair ripped off dozens of people who were grieving. Accusations include stealing life insurance funds, charging for funerals and embalmings that never took place, and mishandling bodies.
All they were doing was ripping them off and stealing their money. They weren't doing anything. That's just absolutely disgusting.
She's been living with someone ashes for months that she thought was her loved one.
His body was warm. It was not cold. When I walked in and I looked at my son, his body was bloated.
Sandy Broussard has convictions in several surrounding counties.
Anywhere she can go to rip people off, she would do that.
In 2014, Broussard was sentenced to 26 years in prison for engaging in organized criminal activity.
I've never seen a 26-year sentence for that type of offense.
Being on parole until the year 2040 didn't stop a magistrate from granting Broussard a personal recognizance or get out of jail free card last year for her headline grabbing charges.
She starts doing what she does best, preying upon people under their worst possible circumstances.
Broussard, who's also out on bond for a felony charge out of Bexar County, is back behind bars here in Harris County for...
Jeez, man. Criminal justice system just...
You can't even die without the son's getting one more piece of you.
Right. It's not as advertised, man. It's advertised as just this big racist thing that sons don't want no parts of. If you're a son, man, you need to stay away from the criminal justice system. Not really, man. Bo, she's having a pretty good time in the criminal justice system.
You be all right.
Yeah, she do. She's literally like, it makes you, as a regular citizen, it makes you kind of feel duped. Like, you know what I'm saying? You try to not commit crime. You scared. You switch lanes without putting your fucking signal on. You fucking looking over your shoulder and shit. This bitch is living like with no fucking care for the law whatsoever.
For credit card abuse involving an elderly victim.
How do you justify giving someone who's on parole until the year 2040 a personal recognizance bond like you're not a threat to public safety?
Sandy Broussard won't be a threat to public safety anytime soon. The parole board has issued a blue warrant, which means she can't post bond. Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
Okay, so this time they put this where she can't post bond. Shit, about time. Yeah, man. Salute to everybody out there, man. Salute to everyone out there in YouTube land here, man. Great show, man. Any final thoughts, man? Let me get these two. Shout out to Miguel Wano, man. Miguel Wano in the building. Salute to Miguel Wano. Shout out to Boy Katrina. Toledo for PN, man. Peace to Auckland Nation. She said Toledo. All right, we go to Toledo right quick before we get up out of here, man. Toledo local news, man. Oh yeah, that's where they found that girl a couple weeks ago. Okay, yeah, we were here not too long ago. It's a little town. I hope they don't have no more shit going there. Jeez, this little fucking teeny little town, all this shit going on
now. And welcome into Action News at 11. Thanks for joining us. Well, he was dragged by an SUV after a shoe sale gone wrong. It's now more than a week after a Woodward High School
after a shoe sale gone wrong.
What?
Why do y'all keep purchasing stuff from Sons off social media? Stop purchasing stuff from sons on social media or selling stuff to them. Don't make any transaction with a son on social media. If this was a white guy who dragged this kid from a fucking back of a truck, we would already know it.
Now. And welcome into Action News at 11. Thanks for joining us. Well, he was dragged by an SUV after a shoe sale gone wrong. It's now more than a week after a Woodward High School senior died from his injuries.
A fundraiser is in the works for this Saturday at Whiskey Red Saloon downtown. 13 Action News anchor Tony Geftis is live in studio tonight with those details for us, Tony.
Christian Lee, this benefit is meant to help the family of Joaquin Simmons. And for the owner of Whiskey Red Saloon, it's personal.
They're great people. Joaquin, he was a great kid. Unfortunately, tragedy, unnecessary tragedy happened. And we're going to just try to do whatever we can do to help the family as much as we possibly can.
Jeff Jones is the owner of Whiskey Red Saloon. He opened the bar last year inside the Commodore Perry building across from the Huntington Center. Jeff is also the union steward inside the paint shop at Toledo Jeep. That's where he works closely with both parents of Joaquin Simmons.
I just know he's a great kid. He was at the plant every day to either come see his dad or his mom and drop off food, pick him up, whatever the case was.
Saturday, March 29th at about 4 in the afternoon, Toledo police say Joaquin went to the 500 block of East Oakland to sell shoes through Facebook Marketplace. Witnesses say a passenger in an SUV grabbed the shoes and Joaquin was dragged behind the vehicle. Days later, the 18-year-old, who's a senior at Woodward High School, died from his injuries.
They're close personal friends of mine. They're people who I cared tremendously about, and it wasn't even a second thought. As soon as I found out, that's the first thing that popped in my mind is, what can we do to help?
Jeff is now organizing a fundraiser for the Simmons family. He's collecting basket raffle donations and preparing to host that fundraiser at Whiskey Red Saloon this Saturday from noon to 3.
There's a $10 cover. All that money will go to the family, and then a portion of all the sales we have here at the bar will also go to the family. We're going to have free food, door prizes. We got a big screen TV. We got lots of things that we're going to be giving away.
It's a gesture of kindness to help a grieving family.
Nice white people, right?
Yeah, that's great and all, but you could just create a give, send, go and make hundreds of thousands of dollars after stabbing someone in the heart.
Well, they
Try
know they're
that.
not going to get that type of money for this kid. They're not going to get that. This story won't get them that type of money. Jews, all
Different business
Jews,
model.
Yeah,
white
if only.
liberals, they're not going to. They're not gonna. No, you gotta. This is how you gotta fundraise for this. You gotta get a fish fry and all that bullshit. Poor kid, man. Poor kid. Tried to buy some tennis shoes or sell some tennis shoes online. Shit.
New tonight, a Toledo woman is in police custody after allegedly stabbing her ex-boyfriend, sending him to the hospital. Toledo police say about 5:30 this morning, a man called 911 and said that he had just been stabbed by his ex-girlfriend, Sharonda Van. When officers arrived, they had to force their way into the apartment to treat the man, and he was transported to an area hospital. According to court records, the man had been stabbed in the chest and needed surgery. Police arrested Van on a felonious assault charge, and court records show she is currently on probation for trespassing back in September of 2024.
Stalker. Men have to deal with stalking too. Nobody talks about that. Oh wow.
Convicted of driving under the influence and killing an Oregon woman will spend at least 6 years in prison. Judge Ken Walls sentenced Caleb Moore to at least 6 years behind bars for the deadly crash that happened on January 21st, 2024. Troopers say that Moore was westbound on State Route 2 near Lyon Road when he crossed the center line, hitting another vehicle head on. 92-year-old Mary Spetz of Oregon was killed in that crash.
Wow.
The driver of the vehicle that she was in was also hospitalized with serious injuries. Moore was convicted of being under the influence of both marijuana and alcohol at the time of that crash.
You got 6 years? 6 years? Jeez.
So he'll be out in 3.
Yeah. This little small town, man.
What's a 90-year-old woman doing behind the wheel of a car?
I'm telling you.
For? What is y'all pulling me over for?
Well, remember that traffic stop from April of last year? A Toledo man attacked by a police K-9. Brandon Upchurch was pulled over after a flock camera flagged his license plate as stolen. Well, it turned out that information was wrong. It was not stolen. And today, attorneys for Upchurch filed a lawsuit against the city seeking $75,000 in damages.
Are we sure about
After the
that?
K-9 attack, TPD conducted an internal investigation determining the officers acted within departmental policy, although one officer was reprimanded for failing to visually verify the license plate.
Breaking you deep.
I wonder if that was a misunderstanding that could have been handled with just simple discourse and courtesy, and I wonder if it might have been different with just a little manners and respect. Well, I mean, they pull the guy over. They pull the guy over. He's showing plates that are from a stolen car or something like that. If I'm sure there was probably like, what the fuck you talking about? All that kind of attitude coming from him. Another cop has to show up with a K-9 unit. They're getting an uncooperative stop. I've seen 1,000 videos where it could have easily been just handled by yes sir, no sir, thank you, and you're on your way with your ticket, but it just turns into bullshit.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sons, yeah, they're gonna make you feel. He probably thinks that this is racist. He probably thinks that only happened because he was black. To this day.
And a Toledo woman's been convicted after police say she set a house on fire while people were inside. According to court records, Jerica Joyner withdrew her not guilty plea last week, pleading guilty to a lesser charge of aggravated trespass. She was initially charged with aggravated arson and an aggravated burglary. Police say she sprayed lighter fluid into someone's home last October, then lit it on fire. 2 people were
Why
inside.
is that not attempted
Joyner
murder?
will
She
be back.
goes there in there. She lights it on fire. Why is that not attempted murder? These little punk ass charges, attempted arson. What? She was trying to burn someone alive.
No arson at all.
Yeah.
The criminal justice system, man, is just so lenient on sons, man. Sons should be fucking lauding the criminal justice system in America. Press 1.
I'm going to go back and press 1.
Another Toledo man's behind bars after police say he fired a gun near Flower Hospital in Sylvania. Now, according to the police report, shortly after noon yesterday, officers rushed to the hospital after they got a call about a man with a gun. They arrested Rodney Ray Williams Jr., who you see here. And they also reported they found the gun on the ground near the helipad, along with a shell casing. 2
Seen
women
here in a
with
windstorm.
Williams told police they're
shooting near a hospital.
What's this guy doing?
Just all this in this little city in the last couple of days, man. This teeny little town, man.
helipad, along with a shell casing. 2 women with Williams told police they had brought him to the hospital for mental health reasons. He's now facing charges of inducing panic and discharging a firearm.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Should have just taken him to fucking prison. Mental health. He starts shooting a gun.
Look, of course, I told you earlier.
New tonight, a Toledo man facing charges for allegedly possessing and sharing child pornography faced a judge this morning after being arrested yesterday. Documents indicate Homeland Security came across a group chat on a messaging app often used for illegal activity. In that chat, they found an account with the username Steven sharing multiple files of child porn.
I hate watching this. I hate covering these because it's so fucking disgusting. Like, you literally make children have sex on camera with adults and shit, and you selling that shit and peddling that shit around and shit. These dudes be getting smoked, though. They be getting like 50 years and shit for that shit.
Depends on the state.
A very rough 50 years, man.
They get smoked. Yeah, they get smoked.
This week.
They do get their boots smoked. So that does kind of make it. But I can cover
This
that
week.
more, but I try not to cover that because it's just so fucking disgusting, man. Makes my stomach turn.
Yeah, I used to watch Alex from Predator Poachers, but I couldn't stomach it
Have you ever
anymore.
had a ruined forecast and wanted to tell a meteorologist exactly?
Oh, good.
Have you
I
ever
said
had
I
a
used to watch Alex from Predator Poachers. big Jewish guy. But I couldn't stomach the chat logs anymore. It's too awful.
They should give these people the death penalty, man. Nothing less.
It's always white guys. You gonna have a lot of white guys getting the fucking death penalty.
So be it.
It's always white guys, man. Oh, with that
Or Hispanics
shit,
too. You get a lot of Hispanics on that trip.
With the child porn?
Yeah, just child rape and shit like that, you know.
Yeah,
They don't record it.
The porn though is usually white guys.
Yeah.
I just skip over those stories, but I just did that one because I was talking about it earlier.
And the Democrats, they're trying to normalize that shit, though, too. That's what's so fucking sickening.
Yeah, minor attracted and shit. That shit is disgusting.
Yeah, fuck that.
There's no way a baby and like they literally got babies on it. A baby can consent to having doing a porn shoot, man. I mean, and if you do, and just if you got that shit like on your computer or something, when yo, man, you should be flogged in the town square. I'm talking about. I want you to scream.
Castration
Your
would be good.
soul was on fire. Well, do that afterwards, but flog them in the town square, 100 lashes, and then we can go for that.
Well, there's always the stereotype that they just get their own justice in prison, but does that
That's
really
not
happen?
true. Nah, not for black ones either. Like black pedophiles, they always say the gang in the streets. I mean, in prison, a lot of the other groups don't respect blacks because they don't what they call clean their house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you gotta like the whites. A lot of times, the whites they'll force their pedophiles and shit like that off the yard, and they'll like either kill them or force them to go into PC. The blacks don't do that. So the Latinos do that too to a degree, but the blacks don't do that. The blacks, they don't do that
Just
as
say
much.
fuck it.
Well, I mean, it's different politics. Like blacks, like they fight a lot amongst each other.
There's not a lot of organization.
With the other races, you know, they more
hierarchy.
Yeah, because everything in prisons like that is along racial lines. The blacks will still be fighting amongst each other. Plus, the blacks, that whole jail justice, it is way overrated. Way overrated. I know so many dudes who've been to prison, and they all say that this is nah. And a lot of times you hear of a dude who got dealt with, and it was over a drug debt. Like he was a pedophile or something, and he got dealt with, but it wasn't over the pedophilia. It was over he owed somebody some drugs, or he got into a beef with somebody, and they dealt with him over that. Or you know what I'm saying?
It's really disheartening to hear that
It's been
about our
almost 2
criminals.
weeks since the tragic
They
death
don't
of
take care of it.
13-year-old Kimani Lateeg. And several organizations based here in Lucas County have been putting out the call for action. Today, Tatiana Cash spoke with one of those organizations, a nonprofit focused on helping teen girls.
It's a local nonprofit here in Lucas County aimed at definitely helping young teen girls find themselves in a smart way, in a fun way, in a safe way. So, of course, to talk about this, I've got one of the co-founders here, Sadora Montgomery. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I am great because this is a fun program. Why are you doing this? You all have other things that you can do. It's not like you don't have a job that you could be focused on right now.
Correct. We're doing it because, my reason for doing it is because I wish a program like this existed when I was growing up. I wish that I would have gone into a field that would benefit me so that I can compete with my counterparts. I didn't have this opportunity. So it's
As a
important
black
for me
woman,
when I moved back to Toledo to give back to young girls who need us.
Where did she move? She born in 1852. She talking about, man?
Her counterparts.
Where did she learn to spell esteem?
That's my why.
So what's one thing, if you're looking into self-esteem, because I might have a teenager who's hesitant. I don't want to go. I don't want to. No, thank you. How do I convince her? Just try it.
Yeah, just try it. It's not your typical workshop because a lot of times the girls feel like they're learning without it feeling like school. It's a voluntary after-school program, and we make it fun and we make it exciting so that they don't even feel like they're learning. And then they look up and they're like, "Oh, wait, I did learn something today." So it's exciting. So come in, try it out, and if you don't like it, but I guarantee they'll like it. They'll enjoy it.
We've tricked you into fun once again, teenagers. Shifting gears
Don't
a
let
little
them know
bit,
they're learning.
when it comes to the fact that here in Lucas County, unfortunately, we have had issues sometimes with young children passing, whether it be to gang violence, unfortunately, maybe at the hands of their own family, like Kimani Lateef. What are you guys doing to kind of help
Not gliders, though?
protect those girls?
Yes. First of all, self-esteem is deeply saddened by the passing of Kimani Lateef, and her passing. That tragedy has actually caused us to become stronger with our program, and we are speaking to our girls more about the importance of speaking to someone when they're facing challenges, and also being able, to listen to someone else who may be facing and looking for signs and behaviors when someone may be facing a crisis.
Giving them the tools so that way they're able to protect themselves and maybe.
Are they getting the money for this?
Absolutely. Dora, thank you so much for
Government, brother.
Couple programs, a few services.
These nonprofits sucking in money.
A judge has granted a man's request to have his criminal record sealed. Christopher Housel was found guilty of burning University of Toledo student Janelle Noe at an off-campus party in 2016. Megan Hartnett was in the courtroom this morning and joins us now live. So Megan, why did he want these records sealed?
Melissa, according to Housel's attorney, Housel now works in Michigan, which requires him to cross the Canadian border. His attorney says because of the nature of his charges, it creates problems when he tries to cross. Housel's attorney says what happened 9 years ago was an unfortunate situation, but his client has done everything that was required of him since. Housel briefly spoke in court, saying his actions were reckless and preventable. Noe's parents were in court, and her mother read a letter Janelle wrote to the judge. Janelle wrote that she is the one living with the permanent consequences of Housel's actions, still dealing with the physical and emotional scars.
This reopens another part of the story. It's technically closed now for him, but I'm hoping that, he, of course, is going to remember this for the rest of his life. And even though we can do all these things he wanted to have done, we just hope that it hurts him as much as it hurts us.
Janelle's parents say even though there are still articles
Jesus.
online about the case, they feel like Housel has been able to remove reminders of what happened. Well, this is something their family has to live with every day. Reporting in studio, Megan Hartnett, WTOL 11.
Damn, that's crazy.
But he's turned over a new leaf, He needs a second chance.
What the fuck?
Well, tonight, we've got an update to a case that gained a lot of attention around here back in 2016. University of Toledo track star Janelle Noe was badly burned at a house party after Christopher Housel poured alcohol onto an open flame. Housel was eventually charged with aggravated arson.
Oh, he didn't. Accidental.
He ended up taking a plea
Reckless.
deal.
That's some drunk glider activity.
Reckless.
Judge found him guilty of underage consumption and criminal damage. Well, bring us to today. A judge grants Housel a request to have those records sealed. Megan Hartnett, she was in the courtroom this morning and reports on why the request was granted.
Okay, so it was reckless. He was reckless, and he got charged with that. Okay.
He was underage.
Like, hey, burned her. Like, what the fuck? What? Seemed like that went way more serious than that. Shit. Salute. Any final thoughts?
Stay safe.
Thanks, Huck.
All right, man. Same bad time, same bad channel. Out of here. Subscribe.